The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun.
As he works through corners number 3 and 4, the Peak Antifreeze, the team at number 58. And unofficially, he will come across the line as the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion. Kenny Humpy will win his first title.
This is what it's all about, Tim. Simply put, now look at Ottinger and Humpy. Ottinger running defensively, Humpy following every bit in his tire tracks.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage, but Ottinger's not going to.
Oh, he got into him!
Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
Kenny Humpy will go to victory lane.
Kenny Humpy now looks for the lead on Nick Ottinger, working lap number 61, closing in on the halfway point.
At a corner number 4, checkered flag in the wind, and for 2 weeks in a row, it's going to go to Kenny Humpy in car number 58. Pace car off, and Humpy's gone. Green flag flies. What a flying start for that number 58.
Kenny Humpy has a 3-second advantage over the rest of the field. We've only completed 42 laps, and that 58 car is hauling the nail.
Kenny Humpy, you can't argue with the setup he's got under his car. Last time around, he picked up an extra 1/10 of a second over Ray Alfalla.
And that means Kenny Humpy will have won his 3rd NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race of this short season. Kenny Humpy takes the lead. That tells me that car is just what we have seen in the past. Very fast early, but extremely fast late. Super balanced, and a long run race car. Kenny Humpy, dominant here at Dover is an understatement. 30 laps to go. The pace car is off. Kenny Humpy again on the loud pedal.
Well, it is the 58 car of Kenny Humpy who will round 3 and 4, come up to the checkered flag, and he'll win his 4th race. And your point leader going to extend that point lead in a huge way. Checkered flag at Michigan, and round number 9 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series goes to Kenny Humpy. The road to $10,000 rolls into Miami. This is round number 16 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, and we are getting ready to go racing at the Homestead-Miami Speedway for the season finale for the series. Kenny Humpy has wrapped up the championship. He's won the big prize up top. We still have a lot to decide in this series, and of course, one more race to decide everything and where everybody's fate will lie after this event. Tim Terry, Tony Stevens is down in the virtual studio getting ready to go racing here this evening, Tony. And as I mentioned, lots to decide. This is going to be 167 laps for some guys. It's going to be their last race in the series. For some guys, they have something to prove tonight.
You're exactly right, Tim, and there's more than one guy that fits into each one of those categories, which means it's going to be a barn burner, no doubt. And again, welcome here to Homestead-Miami Speedway for what is the 16th and final week of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. 15 weeks complete, 14 of which have counted towards the points championship. Everybody got one drop this year, something new to the series. The idea was to make the competition closer. Well, it did. For second on back, Kenny Humpy has absolutely laid it to him this season. It has been an Just a remarkable season. Unprecedented, I think, would probably be the best word to use. 5 wins over the course of 14 races. He was still fastest in happy hour right now. Starts 4th tonight. He could end up with 6 wins once the season is over with. Again, unheard of, unprecedented domination. 11 top 5s out of the races so far this year. Again, his championship clinched. He's got, 50-some points coming into tonight on Ray Alfalla. No pressure. It's done and over with for Kenny Humpy. He can bask in the glory of this $10,000 championship. Now, you get a little bit further behind him, however. Well, Tim, we've got some scenarios to play out. Brian Blackford is just 1 point up over Chris Overland right now, and that's the battle for 4th. There's some extra cash at stake there, some extra iRacing credit, and some extra glory. So essentially, whoever finishes higher between Blackford and Overland, they get the nod for position number 4. A little bit further down, you look at Justin Bolton, Matt Busa, Jake Sturgis, and Corey Vincent. They're all within about 13 points of one another for position number 6. Again, very substantial difference between prize money, or in this case, iRacing credit, and the accolades that go with those positions. So those 3 and 4 drivers will be racing very, very hard tonight to try to one-up the other ones. And they know, make no mistake, they know exactly who they're racing and who they've got to worry about here tonight at Homestead. You drop further down, there's not a lot of prize money at stake, not a lot of glory at stake, but there is one thing at stake that's very precious and very important. A berth in the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. The top 20 drivers are locked in to 2016. Right now, the 20th place driver is Brad Mahar. He has got just 7 points over Chad Lawton and another 4 markers back to Michael J. Johnson. Not a big gap by any means. If something bad happens to Brad Mahar here tonight, well, that could be just the opportunity that Michael J. Johnson needs, or in case things get really, really crazy, Cody Bias might have a shot at jumping into the top 20. As it stands now, Bias, 289 points to Mahar's 318. It's 29 points. It's about 29 spots, give or take, depending where you finish. Is it impossible? No. Is it unlikely? Yeah, but it's still possible. You've got a chance, as they say, and Cody Bias is making the most of it. He will start P1 here tonight, making the most of the opportunity here at Homestead. Other drivers in the thick of that battle include Tyler Laughlin and Danny Hansen. They too, just the same amount of points back as Bias, or in the case of Danny Hansen, 1 more point back from Bias, and he's all the way back in the 25th spot. So a handful of drivers all battling for that. Patrick Crabtree is not exactly safe, but he should be in good shape in 19th. Nathan Wise, Tyler Hudson, they're all locked in for 2016, so not a lot of pressure for them. They can go out and worry about winning here tonight at Homestead. One thing, though, is for certain, Kenny Humpy is going to be one to watch. $10,000 richer, guaranteed. He could park the car in the fence in turn number 1, and this championship is still his. But we've not seen Kenny Humpy be unbridled. We've not seen him in his full stride this season, and I wonder if maybe the drama and the weight of this championship chase has weighed on him just a little bit. Sure, he picked up the win at Daytona. There was no pressure then other than simply winning at the World Center of Racing. But tonight, nothing matters because he's got it all in the bag. I'll be very curious to see how it all works out. Let's take a look and see how practice is going right now. And Tim, I'll throw it back up to you as I come to join you up in the virtual booth. We have ourselves one humdinger of a race here tonight. 167 laps, 250 miles at the 1.5 mile. Homestead-Miami Speedway. Multiple grooves, the new dynamic surface model, the new dynamic tire model, the whole deal. This one is going to be good. We've never seen racing at Homestead like we're going to see tonight.
Yeah, you talk about Cody Bias and Justin Bolton. Those top 2 from the team are going to be ones to watch. Yes, Kenny Humpy starts in position number 4. He has no pressure. Ray Alfalla, the driver that did win Daytona this season, to kick off this year, him and T-Loff going at the start of the year. In that first race, Ray's going to start in 6th, and arguably one of the hottest drivers in the series. He's got 3 wins. He's got no pressure from behind, no pressure in front of him. Ray Alfalla is going to finish 2nd in this championship chase. With no pressure, that's dangerous for the rest of the field. Watch for Ray Alfalla to be good here this evening. He's got some teammates and some satellite teammates in Sturgis, Blackford, Overland, as you mentioned. They're all going to run well. They're all starting in the top 10 this evening, and they're all running for something in the top 5 in this championship hunt. It's going to be an exciting race, 167 laps here. Multi-groove racing, iRacing got it right. This is going to be fun to watch here this evening. We're going to step away for just a few moments' time. We bring you back to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series finale after this.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. Got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Peak can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Welcome back to Homestead and welcome back to round 16 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. We're getting ready to go for 167 laps. And on the front row for this evening's race, it's the team. It's Cody Bias on the inside in car number 27 and the 36 of Justin Bolton on the outside. Tony, they are both looking for their first career victory in the series tonight.
Hard to believe they've been strong every time they've unloaded this year. Jake Sturgis and Kenny Humpy will make up row number 2, Tim.
You got Chris Overland in position number 5 to the outside, the deuce of Ray Alfalla.
PJ Sturgis and Thomas Davis will be the next pair.
Former series champion Tyler Hudson and Brad Mahar complete your top 10.
The 29 of Kevin King, he is paired with Nick Ottinger in row number 6.
Brandon Schmidt in car number 3, and a driver who's had a couple of good runs as of late. It's Casey Tucker in the 28.
Winner earlier this season, Corey Vincent in the 10, Andrew Fayash the 3rd in 16.
Brian Blackford trying to lock up a top 5 in the championship standings. He's going to roll from 17th this evening to the outside, Alan Bowes.
Michael J. Johnson trying to race his way at the top 20 will start 19th, and Taylor Hurst starts 20th.
We got Shane Doherty in position 21 and Ryan Lowe in 22.
Rob Ackley and Alex Warner the next pair.
Trey Eidson and Byron Daly, your next row.
Tyler Hill and Patrick Crabtree make up row 14.
The 50 and the 51 are next. That's Alex Scribner and T-Loff.
David Rattler and Brandon Bowie are 31st and 32nd.
Nathan Wise will roll the 24 from position 33 to his outside. It's Matt Busa in 34.
Final race of his defending championship reign, Michael Conti starts 35th, and Landon Harrison, the winner at Darlington, rolls 36th.
Timo Ivonen rolls off from position number 37, 41st in points, Adam Gilliland in the 8.
It's Brad Davies, Brian Day, Danny Hansen, Stephen Gilbert, the remainder of the field 10.
Field forms up through 3 and 4, and we are getting ready to go at it for 167 laps. Glad you could be with us for the season finale here on iRacing Live at Fans Choice. Pace car in.
Green,
Bias is gone. Green flag is out, and we are underway for the final time in 2015. They'll drive it down into corner number 1, and Tony, we're going to get ready to see some multi-groove racing here. These drivers, I believe, we're going to see a lot more 2 and possibly even 3-wide racing than we've seen here before.
Oh, trouble, one car on the wall, already back in the back of the field, up on the outside wall. No caution yet, but that looked like it might have been the 50 machine. Nonetheless, we'll keep things rolling. Scribner finally gets it back up to speed, and we will complete lap number 1. Cody Bias at the helm of this one. Justin Bolton close to toe, and here comes Kenny Humpy and Jake Sturgis right behind him. A name that might be missing from the top 10 or even the top 15 or top 20. Trouble early for Ray Alfalla. Alfalla had problems on the warm-up lap. He has already pulled that number 2 car in the garage. Ray Alfalla will not pick up win number 4 here at Homestead here tonight.
Yeah, he's back on the racetrack right now, but I believe he is going to be scored at least one lap down in position number 42 as Bias comes out of corner number 4. The 27 is going to lead lap number 2. Bolton tucked up tight behind him, and their team member, Kenny Humpy, in position number 3. But look at Sturgis driving in on the outside down into corner number 1. The 41 tried to make it stick on the outside line. He's been hounding that 58 for the last couple laps. Just hasn't seemed to be able to make the move. Now to the inside he goes, and he'll look at position number 3 and try to bring his teammate along, Chris Overland.
Oh, Chris Overland. Remember, he and Brian Blackford are racing for that ever so vital 4th position. There's a nice payday difference between the two. At the moment, Overland would have it because Blackford is mired back in lucky number 13. And look at Sturgis rim riding around the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Kenny Humpy following suit. Center of the corner, he might not be that fast, but look at the run that Sturgis gets down the straightaway. He will inhale Justin Bolton as they work to turn number 3. Oh, wow. We told you would not see racing anything like this ever before. But guess what? We are proven right already, Tim. We've never seen a race at Homestead like this. This is only the completion of lap number 4.
Yeah, we've still got a lot of laps left to work here, about 162 or so as we work lap number 5 right now in the 41. It seems like that car, Tony, you can put it up high, you can put it down low. Jake Sturgis really has control of his race car, and it's working on multiple grooves right now as Bolton continues to look over the 27 of Cody Bias, his teammate up there, taking a little peek to the inside. Not going to happen down the back straightaway, but I would believe that they might have to step up their game a little bit because the 41 and the 47, they have something to race for at the end of the season because they're trying to move up a couple of spots in the standings. You better believe that Sturgis and Overland going to try a little bit harder here as Sturgis goes to the extreme outside, trying to make something happen off 2 here.
Oh, he is trying. He is going up there where nobody else is going, and now he's going to get right to the bottom underneath the Justin Bolton into turn number 3. Give Jake Sturgis that runner-up position. And Tim, one thing I'm going to be very interested to see how it progresses tonight is the groove. Sturgis is one of few cars running the very outside, but as the bottom rubbers up and they have to move around the racetrack, does Jake Sturgis have an advantage having run up top, or will that part of the racetrack, you think, be rubbered up in time to when he's going to have to search somewhere else when that comes?
We're going to have to see how this thing plays out. There goes the 47 to the inside of Justin Bolton. So Chris Overland going to try to move up here. The 36 tucked up tight on his back bumper is the 47. It's a little bit of a slide job down into corner number 3 to pick up that spot. The 36 of Bolton as he go back to the inside down into corner number 1. The 36 looking at the inside. Nothing going to happen there going down into that first corner. Cody Bias has led since we dropped the green flag 7 laps ago, and down the back straightaway on lap number 8 is the 41. Tries to close in on the 27 to try to pick up that bonus point for leading a lap here this evening.
Certainly well within range, doing it. In fact, top 6 cars now nose to tail. Slightly breaking away from the field, back to Tyler Hudson in position number 7. Hudson is clear of Kevin King and Brandon Schmidt. Also, Corey Vincent has worked his way up into the top 10. Now look at Sturgis on the outside, trying to get that run that he got on Justin Bolton a few laps ago, down the hill, down the back straightaway. That gap is shrinking and shrinking quickly. Sturgis is all over the back bumper of Cody Bias. That's the battle for the lead in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, it looks like he has this thing figured out, especially off of corner number 2 and down the back straightaway to get that run and get that momentum. Try to beat the driver down into corner number 3. We'll see what he can do here. The 41 goes to the outside, the 27 back to the inside. We'll see if the 41 can hold that momentum through 1 and 2 and try to make a move on Bias down the back straightaway. What a run off corner number 2, and there he goes to the inside. Cody Bias on the outside trying to hold it, but it'll be Jake Sturgis going to the top of the board. What a move by the 41.
And just behind him, the other Sturgis, PJ Sturgis, picked up the 5th spot from Kenny Humpy. Oh, the Sturgis brothers have found something here at Homestead. And Tim, as I keep saying, this is refreshing. We have never seen a race like this at Homestead. Multi-groove, multi-strategies. This is going to get really good as this track begins to rubber up and it begins to wear in and people begin having to search for grip. Oh. This is, again, only lap number 11, and I'm already just stoked for how this one's going to turn out.
You look back from the Elwood Designs 27 to Cody Bias, back to the 47 to Chris Overland. Overland has been marching to the front of the field in the double clutch Menards, number 47, and now he's trying to find a way around the 27. He's going to try to do the same thing his teammate just did. He's going to the outside line as the 47. See if he can't get that swooping run off corner number 2 and down that back straightaway. Not as much as the 41 did a couple laps ago, but look at the run he does get down into corner number 3. Overland taking a peek. Bias going to slam the door into corner number 3. Overland almost had that position, just couldn't get enough momentum off corner number 2.
Not quite, Tim, but he's got 150-some laps to try to figure it out. So he's got plenty of time, this Overland. And now he is going to go to the outside of turns 1 and 2, even higher than Sturgis has been running, right up against the outside safer barrier. It's going to allow Bolton to get underneath of him for a moment, but then Overland gets that shot down the straightaway and nearly runs right into the back of the 27 of Cody Bias. And look who else has joined this party now. PJ Sturgis is here. This is starting to become a really, really stout battle up front for the top 5 or 6 spots.
And you look at that top spot, Jake Sturgis at the top really hasn't been able to run away from the rest of this field. It's about a car length and a half back to Cody Bias. Bias gets a great run in the middle of 1 and 2 there and pulls right up to the number 41. But the 47 of Chris Overland takes that wide arc and down the back straightaway, going to have a little bit of the momentum. But as you mentioned, there goes the 57 to PJ Sturgis right on the back bumper of the 36 of Justin Bolton, putting some pressure on the Alliance number 36 as they come up at a corner number 4 and down the front straightaway. It'll be Jake Sturgis leading, but he's got a freight train of 5 more behind him. Add Kenny Humpy to that mix as well. The 58 is on the back of this pack.
I'm really amazed, Tim, that so many drivers are still stuck at the bottom of the racetrack. We see a few more here and there venturing up top, like Overland and PJ Sturgis that time, but really looking further back throughout the field, most everybody else is still dedicated to the bottom. Well, speaking of the bottom, there goes PJ Sturgis now around Justin Bolton on the bottom, but I think the biggest thing you're going to have to do here today, Tim, is have this car ready to move around. And that, because of the compound banking, the progressive banking here at Homestead, it's a little easier said than done. As the car changes from lane to lane, you not only have to account for that, but you have to account for the rubber on the racetrack too. So this is going to be interesting to see how the teams and the drivers adapt over the course of this event. You see Overland, he's got his hands full right now with PJ Sturgis, and just ahead of him, Cody Bias and Jake Sturgis. They are going at it as well. They get fantastic tussles up front.
And the 27 of Cody Bias, for the most part, seen Jake Sturgis, Chris Overland, a couple of those LRM guys go a little bit higher into the corner. The 41 in 1 and 2 this time, not as high as he was before, but still on that second group per se. Bias has been stuck to the inside line, and Bias made up a lot of time that time, the last time at a corner number 2. Look back to the 57 and the 36 going at it for position number 4, and here comes the 58 of Kenny Humpy now to the inside of the 57. So one driver that was on the move early towards the front of the field is about to lose 1, maybe even 2 positions here in the 57.
Tim, what we've got to remember is that some of the drivers have really taken this new dynamic track and tire model, and they've understood how to adjust their cars in the long run, and not only the long run, but later in the race itself. They know how the track's going to adapt and how it's going to change, and they've kind of got that built into their race cars. And I look back at somebody like a Kenny Humpy, because I think he might be a guy that's got that nearly in the bag. He's been good in the last few races, and he's in a position that he's had to be a little protected as far as strategy goes to try to hold on to that championship lead. But I think he might be one of these drivers that has the car set up for the long run and later in the race. Speaking of later in the race, further back, here comes Kevin King and Brian Blackford for battle. They are battling for 11th and 12th. Remember, Blackford is in that middle, or is in the middle of that battle for the 4th spot. And also just ahead of them, that's Brad Mahar. Mahar is trying to stay inside the top 20 to keep his eligibility for 2016.
Ooh, and they were almost 3 wide behind them. Thomas Davis in the number 83 has fallen back a little bit, Tony, since we started this race. He had the 39 and the 74 underneath him coming off of corner number 2 that last time by. Taylor Hurst has run solid as of late, and Michael J. Johnson, if he wants any shot at locking himself into the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, he needs to have a good run here tonight. He sits in position number 14, and with Brad Mahar running in 10th, he needs a little bit more than that. So watch at 39 as we go forward here this evening as Cody Bias, Jake Sturgis continue to battle up in front. Overland, Bolton, and PJ Sturgis are your top 5, but there's some fantastic battles all the way throughout this pack. One other driver that's fallen back through the pack, Nick Ottinger, started 12th. Tony, he's back to 20th place right now.
Tim, I was just looking at that, and I'm not sure what's happening with the Green Camry, but Nick Ottinger is going the opposite direction of what we're used to seeing. A little different paint scheme on the 05 tonight, and maybe the reverse scheme, or whatever you want to call it, bad luck. Maybe they want to put the regular paint job back on there, because this is not working for Nick Ottinger right now. He gets 6 seconds out of the lead and then some, and continues to fall back. He's got Andy Fiash the third, that's right behind him. Byron Daly is up there trying to crack the top 20. Shane Doherty, Patrick Crabtree, and they were going by Ottinger like he is standing still. Something definitely in this the Gale Force Racing camp.
Yeah, he's on the outside right now, and he's got a lot of traffic underneath the 09 of Rattler, the 34 of Musa, the 11 of Brad Davies, who started at the back of the fields on his way up. Shane Doherty is there as well. He's got a lot of company, and the company is trying to slide him a little bit backward from where he currently is. The 11 of Brad Davies now side by side with Ottinger. That's for 25th place, and here comes Shane Doherty for one more spot. Great racing, but right now not playing into the hand of Nick Ottinger and that team. He's fallen outside the top 25.
That he has Tim in trouble for Kevin King about a quarter of a lap ago. King slowed dramatically off turn number 2. Just caught out of the corner of my eye. Not sure if he caught the fence or if he simply had to back off to avoid capturing the fence.
The yellow flag is out.
Right around him. It is getting very ugly. We've got caution on the speedway. First one of the night here on lap number 24. Brandon Bowie brings it out here on the front straightaway.
And he's up here with Alex Scribner in car number 50 to bring this caution flag out for the first time this evening on lap 23. And it's Brandon Bowie. It starts Tony all by himself. Gets a little bit sideways. Car gets out from underneath him. In corner number 4, Stephen Gilbert, nowhere to go but to plow into the back of him. The 24 of Nathan Wise involved. The 6 gets turned, and the 50 of Scribner could not get slowed up in time. He gets into the 54. That will bring out the caution flag once again. But the 74 took a hard hit in there. The 6 car came in backwards. There's a lot of hard hits there. Stephen Gilbert had nowhere to go. Tough break for the 37. That's been the story of his season. Half dozen cars or so really getting some sort of damage from this to bring out this first caution. And here comes Sturgis in the field, and looks like they're heading towards the access road.
That they are, Tim. We anticipate everybody coming down for pit service. Nobody in the top 10 staying on the racetrack, and it appears most of the field, for that matter, going to come down pit road, or at least the entire top 20 for that matter. Slowly at sub 55 mile an hour speeds, Jake Sturgis going to lead them down to the attention of their crews. And the question is, Tim, only 25 laps into this run, do you gamble at this point? Do you take 2 tires? Do you maybe consider fuel only? What exactly might you try to advance your position early where you can rebound if you need to a little bit later if that strategy does not work out? We're about ready to find out. Everybody down to the attention of their crews with a couple of exceptions. Right side service complete on most cars. In fact, left side now going in the air for most everyone in the top 5. And looks like Sturgis is going to win the race off. Second to Chris Overland. Corey Vincent, big winner on pit road on that one. Not sure if Vincent took 2 or 4. He was down very quickly. Nonetheless, he'll come out of pit road in 3rd, followed by Cody Baez in 4th, and they will restack a little bit behind him.
13.7 seconds on Vincent, and that was a 4-tire stop on car number 10 of Corey Vincent. And Tony, I don't think at this point anybody would really gamble for 2. I talked to some of these guys earlier. I talked to Adam Gilliland, and I talked to EJ O'Rourke and a couple of guys from the team, and both of those teams had said around 43 to 45 laps we're going to come on to pit road if it's green, and we're going to want tires more than we do fuel. So halfway through that run per se, I don't think anybody's going to gamble. Now, if you bring it to us late in the race, that is going to be a little bit more, going to throw a little bit of strategy into that too. We've seen it before where guys will gamble on 2 tires, a couple of cautions come out, and you end up winning a race that way.
But Tim, here's the thing. If you're thinking about trying it later, why not try it now to see how it stacks up?
If you have the strategy, that's fine. But if you continue to fall back through the field, you don't get a caution, you fall a lap down, it doesn't work out in your favor, Tyler Hill came back down pit road that time to get service on his car. You're going to definitely need fuel for these next 25 laps, because I don't think you're going to see it. I don't think you can really bank on a caution at this point, Tony.
Tim, this racetrack is known to get slick and get treacherous, as we saw a little bit earlier with Brandon Bowie just losing it all by himself out of turn number 4. So I'm not exactly opposed to that idea. I have a feeling we might see more of that as the race goes on, because these cars are just simply a handful when you get later in the run. You're really feathering the throttle. You're on the ragged edge, especially on corner exit. I don't think this will be the last time we see a caution like that. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see yellows before we get the green flag pit stops on each cycle.
Waiting to see who the free pass is, Tony. I know Danny Hansen at the same time that Ray was a lap down as well. See if we can get a shot of that number 32 Segpay 4, because that's a beautiful looking race car. New paint scheme, I believe, for that team, if they didn't run it a couple of times this season already. But that's a nice looking scheme they have on that Segpay card.
It really is, and it's Segpay getting really involved here in the NASCAR Antifreeze Series, and also in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, and I think even the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Homestead a little bit later this season with driver Garrett Smithley, and he's kind of partnered up with Danny Hansen. So good to see sponsors using the Antifreeze Series as kind of a launch pad to their involvement with the sport and seeing exactly what kind of benefits they can get, whether it's on a retail level or an activation level or simply a business-to-business level. There's all kinds of those types of programs here, and glad to see another company entering NASCAR racing.
There's a shot of Ray Alfala's car, currently sitting one lap down in position number 39. The great thing for him is if he does grab a quick caution here, Tony, he'll be back on the lead lap. Only driver right now listed as one lap down. Doherty's listed as 2, Stephen Gilbert and Nathan Wise both listed as 3 after that last caution. Pace car going to peel off here. Jake Sturgis going to be in command of the field.
Green flag,
and
green
we are
flag.
back under green to complete lap number 28. And Jake Sturgis had that thing timed perfectly. Everybody else behind, fighting for position number 2. Overland currently occupies that spot. The 2 team drivers side by side at 3rd, with Bias trying to take it over Bolton.
Off turn number 2, they somehow get it all sorted out for the most part. Here comes the number 10 of Corey Vincent in the mix as well. Bias just ahead of him. Jake Sturgis gets the spot. Bolton starting to fall back ever so slightly. He restarted 3rd. Now he's back at about, the 6th, 7th spot with time across the line. Not a good restart lap for Justin Bolton, but against him, I wonder if the team has realized, hey, these are the adjustments we need to make for this car to have it good later in the run. Let's take the loss now in the short run. Try to get good 15, 20, 30 laps down the road. And it looks like Bolton maybe is trying to get those sea legs underneath him once again. He gets back by Tyler Hudson. Whatever the issue was, looks like Bolton feels the car is still there. He's not scared to try to make a run on somebody as the battle for 3rd now begins to raise temperature.
And that's BJ Sturgis to the inside of the 27 of Cody Bias. They race hard down into corner number 1, and here comes Corey Vincent. Picked up some spots on that last pit stop. 4 tires, that number 10. A little bit of momentum, and he is going to try to push himself into the top 5 or a little further into the top 5. Currently sitting in P5 and looking for position number 4 on the 27. The 36, as you mentioned, has gained some steam after that restart. He's back to position number 6. The 0-1 of Tyler Hudson, the 3 of Brandon Schmidt. 2 drivers we haven't talked a whole lot about this evening, currently sitting in position 7 and 8, ready to pounce should something happen. Meanwhile, up in front, Jake Sturgis is gone by about 6 car lengths over Chris Overland and PJ Sturgis, who are battling for 2nd.
Tim, what is it about the Sturgis plan? They seem to love some of these races that just don't mean much. I mean, was it one of the Sturgis brothers picked up a win here a couple of seasons ago, and now Jake is just laying it to him. Now that car has gotten up front in there, he's trying to pass on this run. It seems like he is trying to claim victory here at Homestead. And it'll be his first win here. PJ picked one up a couple of seasons ago. For whatever reason, they do really well at the same racetracks. I don't get it. It must be a brother thing.
And these brothers have been running consistent all season long, Tony. It's not just a couple of great races here and there. Obviously, Jake has won a couple of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, but when you look down the list, PJ Sturgis running 3rd in the standings, Jake running 9th. They're both in the top 10 as they battle for position. Actually, back there, it looks like Bias has his hands full with the 10 of Corey Vincent for a spot. That would be 4th and 5th. But they've been quiet all season long. They've been consistent all season long. They're in the top 10 in the points when it counts, and these guys are getting busy back here. There goes the 36 to the inside of the 10 now. Corey Vincent trying to keep that top 5 spot on Justin Bolton. But you remember back a couple of years ago, this race was won by Peter Bennett, a driver who had a great season up to that point, never really got to victory lane, finally won that race here. We might see a guy like a Bolton or a Bias, somebody that hasn't won a race in this series yet, come here and win this race and really put their mark on the series.
It's entirely possible, because there's a lot of pressure off of some drivers, even more pressure on others. It's a really different dynamic when you come to Homestead just because of that. Drivers race differently. Some are a lot more cautious, some are a lot more aggressive, but it's really interesting to see if you can all of a sudden pull something out of the hat, the proverbial rabbit, if you will. And sometimes it's those good guys, if you will, those guys that have had those good seasons and really put everything together finally at the end of the year. And Bolton could be one of them. Of course, Chris Overland, Cody Bias could fall into that classification. So could even Tyler Hudson, a former series champion who's had a kind of a mediocre year so far this season. So a lot of possibilities still exist, and how all that's going to play out, we'll know on lap number 167. There's still 130 seconds away to go. Long time.
91 is on the access road coming off of pit road. That is Shane Doherty. He has scored 10 laps down right now in position number 40. Meanwhile, up in front, the 36 of Justin Bolton pushing towards the front of the field after having that shaky restart a few laps ago. He's on the back bumper of his teammate. We look back to Brian Blackford as well. He's got Kenny Humpy around him as they battle for position number 11. Blackford takes the spot from the 58. And now the 74, Taylor Hurst, will be a part of this battle as well. Brad Mahar in the red and white number 13 on the outside line. Blackford trying to take that spot away and move him into the top 10.
Blackford making a little bit of noise here, Tim, but here's the thing. While Blackford is having a good run, the guy he's worried about in points, Chris Overland, is having a great run up in third. Again, still a long way to go, but if I'm Blackford, I'm a little bit concerned at how well the 47's running compared to how I'm running back in the 11th spot. For that matter, Kenny Humpy, where did he go? We talked about him a little bit on the first run. He's falling back to oblivion. He's back in 12th spot. It doesn't matter, no pressure. Test, do whatever you want to do. But Kenny Humpy, we kind of expected him to really let the Stallions loose, but we haven't seen that so far yet.
Ooh, the 13 and the 0-1 nearly had a moment. That's Brad Mahar and Tyler Hudson. Hudson falling back. Brad Mahar, the driver that he's racing, albeit there's a little bit of distance on them in the point standings. Michael J. Johnson in 8th, Brad Mahar in 9th. Brad nearly had a moment with Tyler Hudson that last lap by close call for the 13. It puts him up, though, in position number 9. And Tony, when we look at that point situation, we talked about Overland and the 33 of Blackford. Think back to last week. Kenny Humpy had to finish in the top 37, I think it was, to clinch the championship. He was running within the top 5, top 10. You know, he's really going to put on an advantage going into Homestead. He's going to clinch the championship, and then he wrecks in the middle portion of the race, or the second half of that race, and he finishes just barely inside the top 30 to clinch that championship. You could have a good first 100, 150 laps, just a matter of where you finish on lap 167. And with the way this racetrack is, you see everybody all over the racetrack. The 10 and the 39 are side by side, the 13 just behind them, the 3 just in front of them. Anything can happen and could shake up the championship at any single moment.
It really could, Tim. People talk about Talladega or Daytona being a wild card when it comes to racing. I really think Homestead, especially in the Winter Series, has already developed a reputation of becoming that wild card race because it has so many grooves, because it's so wide, because the racing is so unpredictable. It really is the ultimate championship contention race. Everything's got to go right. The driver's got to be perfect. The team has got to execute the strategy flawlessly. The setup has got to be underneath the driver. It really is the true team effort racetrack. And I think it's a perfect race to conclude the season because all the elements to make a champion have to come into play here in Miami.
The 10 and the 3 are side by side. Brandon Schmidt beginning to pick off a couple of positions. Schmidt to the inside of the 10 of Corey Vincent. Vincent takes the spot for the time being, as that number 3 will have to rebuild and try to pick up another run here on that 10. The 39 and the 13 behind them. That's your bubble battle for the top 20. Michael J. Johnson keeping Brad Mahar at bay right now, and just behind them, Brian Blackburn and Tyler Hudson run along in the train around position number 10. Sturgis continues to lead. The gap is over a second now. Back to Chris Overland and PJ Sturgis, but a car length back from him in position number 3.
Definitely notice the groove is slow. Trouble! Kenny Humpy hard on the inside wall. Hard for Humpy. His night looks like it's going to be over as there is thick black smoke billowing from underneath the hit peak machine. Caution is out for the incident off turn number 2. Kenny Humpy, well, that's not exactly the blaze of glory that he envisioned. Nonetheless, he'll come to pit road. The championship is his, but race win number 6 will not be tonight. The freight, Kenny Humpy, done here at Homestead on lap 44.
Yeah, he got into it a little bit with the 74 coming off of corner number 2. That is Taylor Hurst, and there's another driver that's having a fantastic season, or at least late race in the season, or late in the season, and they come together, they make a little bit of contact, sends Kenny Humpy into the wall, and that will, as you mentioned, end his race, or shouldn't say end his race, Tony. They might be able to fix that car, but it'll be about a half hour or so before we see him back on the racetrack. He might just head to the hauler, the virtual hauler, and be done for the evening. 41 car down into pit road. It's been about 20 laps since these drivers have last been down on pit road. We'll see if anybody decides to gamble here, Tony, and take 2 tires.
Tim, we saw the last time 20-some laps again, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's the next length of the run we see. We'll see how it all plays out once the teams go to work here. 4 tires, we assume, for most all of the front runners. Adam Gilliland stays on the racetrack in his number 8. Whether that's by design or otherwise, we'll find out here in a lap or so. Meanwhile, service completing for everybody else. 4 tires for Vincent, 4 tires for Overland. Looks like Overland is going to win the race off pit road over Jake and PJ Sturgis. Corey Vincent will end up in the 4th spot off the pit lane, followed by Justin Bolton, Cody Bias, and Brandon Schmidt.
Looks pretty status quo, except for maybe the 82 of Alex Warren, who may have taken 2 tires on that 82 car. No, he missed his pit box. He's going to have to come back in. Speaking about pit stops, let's take one of our own. We'll step away for just a few moments' time and bring you back to some more green flag racing. You're watching the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing at Homestead.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. Got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this.
I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Welcome back to the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We work lap number 48, getting ready to go back to green. Tony had a chance to talk to Kenny Humpy's crew chief. 44 minutes of repairs in that race car. They're going to try to get that thing fixed because they want to come out and do some celebrating later. So they're hoping that this race goes for another 44 minutes so they can come out and celebrate their championship. But Humpy is on pit road, your champion. We'll watch this one from the top of the box as Chris Overland and Jake Sturgis going to lead us back to the green flag. And there goes the double clutch Menard Chevrolet. We're back underway.
And off of the turn one, Overland going to have a little bit of contention for that spot from Jake Sturgis. Sturgis trying to rim ride right alongside and by the number 47 of Chris Overland. Doesn't quite complete the pass yet. Now into turn number 3, he will try to bring his brother PJ Sturgis along for the ride. Look at Overland now. Up the racetrack as everybody else trying to work the bottom, and Tim was just getting ready to make the point before Kenny Humpy had his incident a lap or so ago. Look where everybody's running. They're not on the bottom like they have been in the past. The group is slowly moving up, especially in turns 1 and 2. And as this race continues, we're going to see more and more of that. They're going to start searching for grip and searching for the best spots to run those race cars.
Yeah, you don't see many of those drivers in the inside line here trying to make the move, especially a couple laps after this restart. Saw Brandon Schmidt try to make a move on Michael J. Johnson, did not stick down there. And PJ Sturgis continues to flash their nose in the inside there those last couple laps. You look back at the 57 of Sturgis from Chris Overland, the 27 and the 10 behind them. Vincent trying to get a run here. The 27 and the 57 nearly have a moment down to the corner. The 27 had a head of steam going down into corner number 1, and now he and the 10 will go side by side. The 10 will back out down the back straightaway, and we'll try to set something back up here going down into corner number 3.
Setting up just yet as far as retaking that spot. A little bit of looking going on, a little bit of contemplating, but nothing for sure yet. Mile now for almost the entire field. Now here's what we run into. As this group moves up, as they rubber the racetrack in, they start to find these little holes, more grip or a little less grip or whatever the case might be. It's going to really become a game of inches when we sell these cars off in the corner. If you miss your spot by just a little bit, that could mean you just completely junk the lap and you lose 1 or 2 spots because this racetrack is so momentum dependent. And I'm not sure if these drivers are 100% ready for that yet. These are some of the best sim racers in the world. They've never had an instance, I should say, where they've had to be that perfect, especially late in the race when you're tired, you're starting to get your mind on other things, you're getting a little bit dehydrated. Makes me wonder how it... Oh, wow, watch out, Michael J. Johnson, Tim.
Yeah, 39 of Michael J. Johnson got sent down into corner number 3 by the 3 of Brandon Schmidt. You talk about missing your mark just by a little bit. That might be what the 3 and 39 had there, but what a save by Michael Johnson. That could very well have saved his season and maybe, possibly, a ticket into the NASCAR Big Antifreeze Series for 2016 if he ends up in the top 20 at the end of this one. Great save by that 39, but now he has his hands completely full. There's the 22 of Rob Ackley to the inside, the 21 of Alan Bowes, and the 83 of the silent ninja Thomas Davis trying to make his way up into the top 10.
Davis, like you said, silent ninja, slowly working his way forward that time by. Credited with the 13th spot as to his outside. Number 34, Matt Bruce in the top lane, Tim. Starting to get the momentum. You see everybody moving up, especially with the Giants. 22. That's going to mean Davis loses a spot. Oh, hello, behind him, Mike Conti. Just about caught a piece of the back bumper. He'll dive to the bottom to try to take a position. Don't think that's going to work out quite the way he intended as he work off turn 4. Here's the spot to Davis, and he's briefly by inches. Now he'll clear it off turn 1 and 2. Long pair of cars. Second, here's Tyler Hudson right there in the middle of it as well. A lot of good racing back here from about 8 tenths on back.
Yeah, a lot of blue and white cars back here. Hudson, Conti, Davis. There's a couple back there. And speaking about blue and white, is that a 2-car of Ray Alfalo way back there, back on the lead lap? Indeed it is. Number 24 on the racetrack right now. And actually, he's going to move up to 22nd as he passes Fayash and the 15 at Crabtree. Ray Alfalo, the Wendell Scott Foundation Ford, back on the lead lap and back on the move. P22, and now he looks at Brian Lowe.
And this is a home race for Ray Alfalo. Floridian, he lives, obviously, in this racetrack that is very important. He's won 2 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series championships and had them awarded to him one stage here at Homestead. Seems the track is very near and dear to Ray Alfala's heart, and I'm sure he would love nothing more than to end up in victory lane here at Homestead tonight, after especially all the issues he had here outside of this race trying to get rolling. And luckily for him, a couple of early quick cautions, back on the lead lap and moving forward as the field fans out in front of him.
He makes a move on Ryan Lowe to pick up one more spot. That is Tyler Hill in front of him in the 9. David Rattler is right up here. Byron Daly, Kevin King, a few others that are trying to make their way or keep themselves in the top 20 at this point. Tyler Hill on the outside, and car number 9 will relinquish that spot to Ray Alfala, and Alfala picks up 2 more spots on that lap. He is definitely on the move in the Wendell Scott Foundation Ford. In front of him, it's Rattler and Daly side by side with Kevin King a part of this mix too.
His wife was running them there up there. I don't know what like blue and pink and whatever else, number 29 car. Just ahead of Ray Alfala by a couple of spots. And David Rattler, you see, as you mentioned, with Byron Daly is there in the middle of it too. And this is the problem with Homestead. There's so many crews to run. If you have a fast car like Ray Alfala, you have to do one of these things. Be content riding behind a couple of guys racing each other for position side by side. Or try to make a hole where there isn't one. Sometimes.
Yeah, especially coming through the field here where this traffic that Ray Alfala is racing might be just a little bit slower than what his pace is right now. He's to the inside of Byron Daly in the Focus number 93, and Alfala will pick up one more position here. The 09 of David Rattler and the Infinite Creative Solutions 09 just ahead of him. And then, as you mentioned, those passes keep getting a little bit tougher as he goes towards the front of the field. The 29 and 09 going at it right now. Kevin King and David Rattler side by side with Michael Conti falling back here, and Conti was up a little closer to the top 10 a few laps ago, Tony, and now he is back in position at number 16 with a couple of strong competitors that are coming towards the front of the field just behind him.
And Tim, it's fun to see how these guys can come and go throughout the race. Luke can move forward. Luke does not. In fact, he's more than Ray Alfala trying to get by Kevin King as well as Mike Conti. He'll get the spot on King. Back in position number 17 at the moment. But so many comers and goers as these races move on, and it really has become an issue of what can you do to get yourself forward. And while qualifying has always been important here, it seems like the last few races is not as important as it has been in the past.
29 racing hard here for position. Kevin King back in position number 18, and here comes the 5 and the 2 former champions of this series going side by side at position number 16. Meanwhile, up in front, if you're wondering why we're not covering the lead, well, there's really no battle for the lead right now. Jake Sturgis currently occupies the lead position. They just lapped Alex Scribner, PJ Sturgis in second, then about another half second back to Chris Overland, about another half second back to Cody Bias, and there's the 10 battling with them along with the 36. That was almost a moment for the 10. Here comes Bolton now to the inside. That's the battle for position number 5.
Great fight up front, and look at this. Everybody again fanning out through 1 and 2, and hello, Corey Vincent. Just about got a face full of Justin Bolton. Bolton realized that might not be the better thing to do, so he had to crank the wheel hard left and get out of the way, and that nearly opened the door for the 3 of Brandon Schmidt to take advantage of it. Didn't quite make it happen just yet as he worked off turn number 4, and he's ahead of them now. Chris Overland, he was working by some slower traffic. That's the 50 of Alex Scribner. Could Scribner play a little bit of a spoiler in these battles for position right now, Tim, because he's right where some of these guys are running, and it might pose an opportunity to pick up a spot.
I don't think he's going to play a whole lot into a factor in these little battles that we have within the top 10. These guys are probably going to work by, but once we get back to maybe a guy like Ray Alfala back here and Tyler Hudson, Thomas Davis, these guys that are battling a little bit harder for position, we might see a little bit of a shakeup. And Scribner way up against the wall, and almost Justin Bolton, or almost collected Justin Bolton in the 36 of the 3. Brandon Schmidt will also work their way by the 50 of Alex Scribner. Up in front, still a second between the top 2.
Second between the top 2. It's a half a second back to third place Chris Overland, and then it's nearly 3/4 of a second back to Cody Bias, and that's where the battle is right now, Tim. Bias trying to fend off the advances of Corey Vincent, Justin Bolton Brandon Schmidt, and slowly creeping into the picture, Brian Blackford. He is up to 8th.
Yeah, Brian Blackford comfortably in the top 10 right now in car number 33 as he looks for a little bit more. Brandon Schmidt in car number 3. And the 33 of Blackford about to go at it for position number 7 down the back straightaway. Blackford has caught this little pack here that's all the way up to position number 4, and Cody Bias in the number 27. Blackford's on the move. It seems like that car, Tony, a little bit better on the longer run compared to the shorter run.
It does seem to be that way, Tim, but again, we haven't had a very long run here so far tonight. We've had about 25 laps or so. The extent of long runs that we've had, we're starting to get into uncharted territory, really, as far as that goes. We get up into the lap 70-something range. You're coming up very quickly. So we might see how these things work out when they get close to lap 30 or lap 40. And comes Blackford now by Brandon Schmidt and Cody Bias just ahead of him. Bias up top. That's where Corey Vincent's trying to earn that position away. Can't quite get it. Bias will have a stripe, but they're side by side back in turn 1.
There's the 10 car taking that spot away. Bias on the outside line, and 36 of Justin Bolton. Bolton nearly had the wall in the middle of 1 and 2, going way up high, trying to get that momentum down the straightaway. And there he goes, taking a peek to the inside of the 10. Can he make it down into corner number 3? The 36 is there on the 10. Question is, can he hold that inside line enough to take that spot off of corner number 4, the 27? On the outside line, along with the 10, 36 trying to fight it, and hello, Brian Blackford. Blackford looking to the outside.
Blackford trying to make things happen to the outside of Justin Bolton, and oh boy, watch out for that one. Hello, Bolton just about slid up in front of Blackford, couldn't make it happen. And I think, Tim, we're already starting to see that if you want to make passes here, you've got to be up top. The bottom's not going to work unless it's a quick dive bomb or slide job type move. You just cannot keep the momentum and the grip you need. Justin Bolton lost 2 or 3 spots there in that exchange. And here comes Blackford to the bottom to realize maybe he can't. Well, here he goes. Let's see how his luck works out and how his fortunes go. Can't quite clear Vincent. If he slides up in front of him right now, he'll get it, and he will. Slide job, Brian Blackford, move him up to position number 5.
And now Blackford will set his sights on Cody Bias in position number 4, and then the question will be, can Brian Blackford make up some time on his satellite teammates, Chris Overland, PJ Sturgis, and Jake Sturgis up in front as Blackford runs in 5th. Alfala back here in position number 11, just past Matt Boosa and Michael J. Johnson. Next up on his list is Rob Ackley, about 0.6 of a second ahead of him, and that would be top 10 territory. Alfala is one of the faster cars in the racetrack right now. Turning times, Tony, that the leaders are turning right now. Alfala, though, does not have the benefit of track position at this point. We're coming up on the longest run of this race thus far. We went green just shy of lap number 50, and we are on lap number 72 right now of 167. Less than 100 laps to go in this season.
Hard to believe, Tim. And as you look up front, Jake Sturgis leads by half a second now over his brother PJ. Chris Overland down to a full second to the lead back, or from the lead back to him in 3rd, and then comes this battle for 4th. That's where Brian Blackford and Cody Bias are trying to swap spots around. They've already swapped it once this lap. Bias looking to repay the favor. Can't quite make it happen. He's a couple of cents short on that one. Blackford now, position number 4. And Tim, remember earlier we said Blackford and Overland racing for 4th spot in the points? Well, essentially they're racing for 4th spot now on the racetrack. 3rd and 4th spot for that matter. Remember, whoever beats whom, that is the person who gets the nod in position number 4 as far as it goes so far this season. At least that's a simple way to think about it. Now Blackford up to 4th, giving chase. It's Overland and small little note. Ray Alfala, after his issues earlier, he's now cracked the top 10.
Yeah, he's past Rob Ackley in car number 22. The battle in front of him, though, albeit it's about a second ahead of him, is Brad Mahar and Brandon Schmidt. They continue to go side by side. They've been at it, crossed each other over, Tony, the last lap or so. Pretty entertaining battle up here. But as they continue to do that, Ray Alfala getting bigger in the rear view mirror. Brandon Schmidt pulls in behind Brad Mahar for this occurrence, or this time. We'll see if the 3 can make the run on the 13. This battle for the last 5 laps has been pretty entertaining.
while the field continues to circulate, I want to remind you, if you want to get in on this whole sport we call iRacing, as Schmidt is about caught in on the safe barrier there. I like that what we meant, Brandon, but check out the code there on the screen. You can pick up 1 month and get 2 more for completely free. So essentially 3 months for the price of 1. And we're going to give you the late model stock car, a great entry-level car to run on short tracks around the iRacing service, in real life for that matter. So not only do you pick up the Legends car and all the other stuff you get when you sign up, you get a late model stock car for free. You're able to play around with that and really get your feet wet here on iRacing. Great service, great group of people to race with. You never know, if you really figure it out and know what you're doing, you too could be racing on the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series in the very near future. But if stock cars aren't your thing, Tim, there's not just stock cars. You've got road race cars and open wheel cars, and just about everything you could ever imagine. They keep adding more and more. It seems like each and every week.
Yeah, and you keep seeing the updates and the latest updates that we've seen from iRacing, producing this multi-groove racing on the ovals, and fantastic racing it has provided us. I haven't had the opportunity, Tony, to get the wheel on the desk and go racing in the last couple of months, but I know I'm going to be starting up with the winter months getting back in the late model and the super late model. I can't wait to do some short track racing here in the next couple of months. Ray Alfala's just taking the spot from Brandon Schmidt to move Brandon Schmidt back to position number 10. Up in front, Jake Sturgis and PJ Sturgis, they're getting a little bit closer. What was a second for most of this run, Tony, is back to about 0.3 of a second now. PJ Sturgis has caught Jake.
Yeah, it's really not nearly the size of the advantage that he had earlier. And I think PJ maybe is a little bit more geared towards the long run, whether that's setup, whether that's driver preference and driver style. I don't know, but look at the top 3, very distinct grooves. Jake Sturgis a little bit higher, PJ closer to the middle, trying to hook those left sides on the rubber, and then Chris Overland right on the bottom in turn number 3, and all the while, they continue to close in on the leader, Jake Sturgis, no matter what they do as far as grooves are concerned. Overland again in the middle in turns 1 and 2. And they've all separated themselves by about nearly 2 seconds back to Brian Blackford. But Blackford, after passing Cody Bias, he's really moved himself away from Bias. Hasn't really reeled in the leaders that much, but Bias has certainly fallen back.
Yeah, Bias falling back here, position at number 5. The last time by, he's battling with Corey Vincent and all those drivers back there. Brad Mahar is one that's coming to the front of the field, or at least pushing a little bit harder here in this run. He's to the inside of Justin Bolton. He's trying to clear Bolton, cannot do so on that exchange. The 10 also a part of this battle, and as they battle, Ray Alfala is closing up into this little fracas here for about position number 6 or so. Brad Mahar is on the move, but not as fast as that driver right behind him.
Yeah, Ray Alfala has been on a rail ever since they got that car fixed, whatever the problem was. And look at this, Cody Bias said, I'm going to move over. There goes Corey Vincent. There goes 13 of Brad Mahar, and I do believe Ray Alfala is going to get a spot as well this time around. Gale Force Racing tweeting a little bit. You can join the conversation on Twitter at #InPass. In fact, not just Gale Force Racing joining the conversation, but the Wendell Scott Foundation cheering on Ray Alfala and Brian Blackford. MRN Radio, the Motor Racing Network on the conversation, as are many others. And speaking of in on things, Justin Bolton coming in for service in the 36 car. What we would think would be an unscheduled pit stop for the number 36. Chevrolet is down at 50 miles an hour, heading to the attention of his crew. Maybe Justin Bolton short pitting here, Tim. I think they can make it on one more stop from this point.
Ray goes to the inside and tries to pick up position number 5 here, Tony, and I wouldn't say unscheduled to the fact where it could be a short pit more than anything, because it's about 34, 35 laps on this run at this point. We'll have to see here as Alfala gets up in front of the 10. That was a close call there. We're looking at the 05 of Nick Ottinger in position.
The yellow flag is out.
Caution is on the speedway.
Oh my, did this just throw a few strategies out the window? Tyler Hudson problems here on turn number 4. It all happened. It looked like, well, not really sure what happened, but maybe he got a little too high up in the marbles. And yes, there are marbles in the iRacing service now with this new dynamic surface model. He tried to hold on to it. All that dirt racing experience in his career, well, he kept it off the fence, didn't hit anything. He did go around in front of traffic, forcing the caution flag. and that really threw a wrench into strategies. Among those who are trapped a lap down now, Justin Bolton, David Rattler, Adam Gilliland. Oh, it seems like Justin Bolton just cannot buy a break. And nonetheless, we are under caution here with 84 laps complete.
Yeah, they're going to have to hope that everybody in front of them comes down into pit road and maybe they can get a wave around and get back on the lead lap. We'll see how this all shakes out. PJ Sturgis is your leader. Jake has fallen back to position number 2 with Chris Overland, Brian Blackford, and Ray Alfala, your top 5 as they enter pit road. They are all on the access road and getting ready to come in and get service to the race cars. As we mentioned, Nick Ottinger was in 19th. He moved to 14th on that exchange of pit stops, and he might be moving a little bit closer towards the front of the field here if he can get a good stop from his Ream team. Here comes the 57, the 41, and the rest of the running order down onto pit road.
See Nick Ottinger in the box, and we'll see exactly what's up with the Ream Camry, and he has been moving forward now that they got things righted on his Toyota, but we do anticipate, again, 4 tires and fuel. That was the longest run of the race, no doubt, as we were getting close to green. Well, we'd already started green flag pit stops. Down and away, PJ Sturgis going to win the race off. Jake will come out second. Then it's Brian Blackford, Chris Overland, Corey Vincent unofficially, and just behind them, oh, pesky as he might be, Ray Alfala out in position number 6. That 2 car is on a mission here tonight, Tim.
Yeah, he's going to be one to watch as we continue on here. A couple of drivers staying out in the racetrack. Most of these drivers that are staying out in the racetrack, 1 lap or more down, and we only have 31 right now listed on the lead lap, and a couple of those drivers are on the tail end of the lead lap, as you mentioned, trying to get the wave around, including a guy like Justin Bolton, Thomas Davis, Cody Bias, some of those members from the team that did come down pit road and got trapped. 1 lap down, they're going to try to get the wave around here, along with about over a half dozen more cars. Adam Gilliland, the 37, Stephen Gilbert staying out. So that changed their strategy a little bit. Scribner does come down onto pit road. He's listed as 3 laps down, along with a couple of others that are listed 1 or more laps down. So it definitely changes the strategy here as we move forward. We're in the second half of the race already, 83 laps to go. And mentioned a little bit earlier, some of these teams 40 to 45 is really their target to come onto pit road. Could this very well be a one-stop race from here on in?
I think it could be, Tim. I think you're well within the window. You might have to really baby those tires a little bit and play your strategy to perfection, but one ill-timed caution flag, nonetheless, could also throw your strategy out the window and make this a 2-stop race all over again. We almost saw green flag pit stops. We saw a few, but not really a full cycle. Remember, we have yet to really see a full cycle of green flag stops here tonight. And for guys that are trying to work on these race cars, guys like Ray Alfala that are trying to make time up, guys like Brian Blackford that are trying to claw their way forward, guys like Michael Johnson and Brian Day, who is almost inside the top 10. Where did he come from? These guys love these chances to come down under caution, make the adjustments they need, and get bunched right back up with the rest of the field. This is exactly what the doctor ordered for them.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting second half of this race to not only determine the winner, but as you mentioned, some of those battles throughout in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Mentioned Blackford and Overland going at it a little bit earlier this evening. Blackford now has the upper hand on Chris Overland for 1 position, at least on the racetrack right now. 33 up on the 47 by 1 at position 3 and 4. Corey Vincent back there in position number 5. Brad Mahar within the top 10, trying to lock down a top 20 spot. Michael J. Johnson fell back a little bit there as this field begins to double up. He's back all the way to position number 12 as we get ready to go back to green flag racing.
And Tim, we're just past the halfway point, and it's getting down to crunch time already. We're going to have, what, 70, pardon my math skills, what, 69 laps to go, I think, when we take the green flag. I'm probably off, but somewhere in that ballpark, right?
Yeah, it's close to that now, as 88 being completed this time by for PJ and Jake
79,
Sturgis.
that's it, 79. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, calculator works. I know I had to dig mine out here
Or
earlier,
the
so
abacus.
yeah, slide that one over. That's it's either way. With this should be a one-stop race to the end. Just a matter when you do stop. If we do have a caution flag or not, it's going to be a lot of strategy here in the second half. Pace car off. PJ Sturgis is gone. Jake Sturgis in position number 2. As soon as he passes this line, going to probably try to find a spot in the line. and Brian Blackford battling with that 47 of Overland. Those guys, satellite teammates between Slip Angle and LRM, I'm sure they're going to figure it out here in these next couple laps.
Well, I don't know about figure it out, Tim. They're probably going to continue to fight it out, no doubt, as PJ Sturgis, fire from brother Jake on the outside lane. Those two side by side through turns 3 and 4. And again, look at this. We promised you at the outset of the race, you've never seen racing at Homestead like you're going to see tonight. Case in point. Jake and PJ Sturgis side by side the entire lap. Neither one getting an inch. Neither one with a real distinct advantage here in the opening couple of laps. Now as his tires wear, the track opens up again. Might be a completely different story, but this is fantastic racing, Tim, all throughout the field. This point in the race, I think the track is about as mint as we've seen it. Guys in the top, guys in the bottom, guys in the middle, all making time.
Behind them, Ray Alfala continuing to make time and make spots in this racetrack. He's up to 4th and he's looking at 3rd. Corey Vincent in the number 10 trying to slide his way in here and pick up a position. We had an LRM Slip Angle top 5, but now Corey Vincent going to try to break that up a little bit in position number 6 and trying to get up here into position number 5 as he works the inside of the 33 of Brian Blackford. Vincent drives it in deep and will pick up position number 5 in front of him. Alfala to the inside of the 47 of Chris Overland. They go side by side in position number 3, and Alfala continues his march to the front. He's already up to 3rd.
Wow. That's about all you can say. Wow to Ray Alfala. Does not let adversity hold him back, despite whatever the problem was at the outset of the race that he chose to pull off for. Well, they got it fixed, they got it rectified, whatever it is. He said, let me at him. And now back in the lead lap and inside the top 3, I think Ray Alfala is definitely a very legitimate contender to win this race. And in fact, he might be more of a shot to win this race, or have more of a shot than anybody. The simple fact that he has had to drive through the field. He has had to use the entire racetrack to know what that race car does from the top, the middle, the bottom, in traffic, out of traffic, somebody in front of him, somebody behind him. He's got a larger data set than anybody else he's racing, and that means he's going to be even more dangerous than he normally is.
And now he'll look at the 57 of PJ Sturgis to try to move up one more spot, about 3 car lengths or so. But mentioned a little bit earlier, these passes get a little bit tougher as you move towards the front of the field. Jake and PJ have been the class of the field thus far. We'll see how much trouble Ray Alfala has with his satellite teammates. As you ride on the roof of the Wendell Scott Foundation Ford, just ahead is that 57 and the 41 of Jake and PJ Sturgis. Alfala drives it down through 3 and 4, and we'll try to pick up a little more time here off of the corner and down the front straightaway. The 2 is on the back bumper of the 57 as they cross the line to complete lap number 94.
Just incredible, Tim. Continue to watch Alfala slice his way through this field. Last time by, he was in the 30.8 second range. The 2 cars in front of him, a full 1/10 of a second slower. In fact, nobody in the top, well, nobody in the field, anywhere even close to Ray Alfala. That 2 car, he might have been a sleeping giant. He might be getting ready to stink this one up.
And the second half of the race, and obviously he had the issue on the pace lap that put him back behind the 8 ball per se, a lap down, had to get the free pass to come back onto the lead lap, and now he's battling. If he does win this race, Tony, and he does win it going away, it was far from easy, but obviously we still have a long way to go in this one, over 70 laps to go before we do crown a winner, and obviously Jake and PJ are not going to roll over for Ray Alfala or anybody else for that matter in this field. Corey Vincent has moved his way up and looks like he's pacing himself for a possible second half run to the front of it. He's pulled away from Brian Blackford, and he's within a second of Jake Sturgis and PJ Sturgis. If anybody has anything else for those 2 and Ray Alfala, could it possibly be the 10 car?
It's hard to really say, Tim. Anything's possible. Again, as the track changes, as it rubbers up, as the drivers have to search around for grip, it's anybody's guess who's going to be good when we get to lap 167 and who's going to be in prime real estate to take advantage of a good race car in 70 laps time. Think about that, Tim. 70 laps. It's another pit stop in the middle of this one. Still a very long way to go here at Homestead, in excess of 100 miles. That doesn't seem to want to stop Ray Alfala. Here he goes, looking for second on Sturgis, PJ Sturgis, off turn 2.
Down the back straightaway they go, and Ray Alfala trying to take that spot away from PJ as They come up on a lapped car. That is the 54 Brandon Bowie. The two looking to the inside. Close call there, coming off of corner number 4 with the lap car, but 2 has that run poised down the front straightaway. He'll try to launch it down into corner number 1, the 57 of PJ Sturgis on the outside, trying to get that run on that outside line and trying to run it down the back straightaway. They continue to go at it for position number 2, and Ray Alfala trying to push the limits of that 57 car a little bit here.
And as his essentially teammate, Tim, he probably knows a little bit more about what's underneath that 57 car than anybody else, because they more than likely have worked very closely on the setup in that car. So Ray knows what he's racing against. And what you've got to remember is, while a lot of these teams work with each other, while drivers have teammates, while setups and information are shared, they're not always the same. One driver might like a little bit of a different feel than another driver. One driver wants a different shock package than their competitor. So there are small nuances underneath these setups. They're balanced very similar, but a lot of times there are things put together underneath those cars that each driver likes specifically. Sometimes those likings are a little bit faster in certain racetracks than others. You wonder if Alfala's been faster, at least at this juncture of the event, as he tries to go underneath of PJ Sturgis. Interesting note, Alfala and Blackford, teammates, swapping fastest lap of the race.
And Ray Alfala just took that lap last time by, so we'll see if Brian Blackford can step it up here in this next lap. The 41 and 57 way up against the fence. The 2 of Ray Alfala continues to work the inside line, go where they are not. The 2 continues to try to take away that second place spot. Drives it down deep here into corner number 1, the 57 on the outside line, trying to maintain that momentum on the high side. And as they battle, Corey Vincent out static back there, Tony, about a second or so off the pace of Jake Sturgis, and not really losing, but not really gaining a whole lot of time either. Back there in position number 4, and then Blackford completes your top 5, about a 2-car length lead on Chris Overland. For that 5th place position is Alfala, unsuccessful that time to take the spot. 102 laps completed.
The laps continue to click down, Tim, just looking through the field. Everybody really begins to string out around the Homestead-Miami Speedway. They're stringing out and spreading out. They're using every available inch of asphalt, whether it's the top, the bottom, the middle. Drivers from front to rear are trying to find their groove here around Homestead. That continues to make this race more and more interesting. Some drivers really complaining their cars are becoming harder and harder to deal with in traffic, harder and harder to pass their competitors with. But other drivers, Tim, they're saying the cars are really coming to them. They're starting to move forward. They're starting to feel more comfortable and be able to maneuver those cars where they can pass their competition. So this racetrack, I think, right now is going through a transition period as we get down to the end of it.
Justin Bolton and Cody Bias, we mentioned them a little bit earlier, coming down into pit road and getting service to their race cars, and then the caution flag coming out, Tony. They really haven't had the Ray Alfala-esque type run back to the front of the field. Justin Bolton's actually having a time right now with the 32 of Danny Hansen to try to pass the 32. Gets to the inside of the Segpay Ford and just cannot get that run to clear him off the corner. That is the battle right now for 25th place. Landon Harrison's behind them. Just a little ways behind them, Tyler Hudson and Thomas Davis are going at it. Cody Bias is ahead of this battle right now by about 0.6 of a second as he battles with the 74 of Taylor Hurst. Hurst will now fall back behind the number 27, and Bias moves up to 23rd place. If they can get a couple of caution flags, Tony, and get back that position, or that track position they lost on that pit stop when that caution flag flew, they might have something for at least a top 5 run. But I think at this point, within the final 60 laps or so, they're going to need some help.
Yeah, Tim, they are. It seems like that's been the MO for Cody Bias, Justin Bolton, with some of those other drivers so far this season. They do everything right and still get bit in the filters because their luck is just horrible. Somebody sent them before the clover or something. But all they can do is just keep soldiering on, keep moving forward, and that's all they try to do. Speaking of which, the 05 of Nick Ottinger, he's back at the 17th spot. He's right there in the middle of a hornet's nest. That's about 15th through 20th or so. They're having a nice little battle as they work on the 33.
Yeah, fantastic little battle back here. That's Kevin King just ahead. David Rattler behind. Brad Davies a part of that battle. He's fallen a spot to Andrew Fayash, the third. Fayash going to move up one, as is David Rattler. That's just behind Nick Ottinger, as Ottinger holds down the 17th place position. Looks at 16th on the 29 at Kevin King. And there's a driver up in front of them that we talked a whole lot about this evening, Timu Ibonen, quietly having a great run in position number 15 in the NX number 99.
Quietly is exactly right, Tim. We mentioned his name, and he's kind of been really an also-ran for a lot of this season, but really seems to be coming alive here tonight at Homestead. Top 15 run, I think, is just the shot that team needs to go into the Pro Series here in the offseason to try to re-earn a spot in the NASCAR Antifreeze Series. Speaking of earning things up front, Ray Alfalla has just earned the second spot. He was there out PJ Sturgis, and now he's chasing down his other quasi-teammate. That's Jake Sturgis. Less than a car length between them off turn 4.
Yeah, Alfalla made light work of PJ Sturgis after he made the move on the 57. Took him a few laps to get past, but now he's on the back bumper of the leader and trying to take away the advantage that Jake Sturgis has. And Sturgis up in front. You'd have to believe that maybe that team, Tony, crunching some numbers, trying to get Jake Sturgis that extra point for leading the most laps here this evening. Ray Alfalla wants to lead a little bit here, wants to get that bonus point for sure, even though it really doesn't matter for Ray Alfalla. He's in second place. He ain't going to change when it comes to the positions, but could possibly Jake Sturgis be thinking, I got to lead the most laps here and maybe get myself a little bit closer to the battle that I have here, currently sitting 9th in the standings, and get himself closer to Busa and Bolton and Vincent?
Well, that's one of the agendas that's going to be on the table here, Tim. Sturgis has got a lot more to lose than Alfalla does. For that matter, he's got a lot more to gain than Ray Alfalla does by holding on to that top spot and fighting for this win. Although I think Ray has got a much faster race car at this point. For simple pride's sake, I think Ray wants to go from worst to first. And what a story it would be, because if Alfalla can pull this off and maybe even have a shot to win this thing, it would simply be one of the more remarkable performances we have seen really in the history of the NASCAR Antifreeze Series. He'll nose ahead off turn number 2 with Ray Alfalla, and he should be able to complete the slide job at turn number 3. Didn't drive it in very deep. Sturgis trying to run around the outside, but that car does not rotate in the center like Alfalla's does. Side by side for the top spot, all 4. Alfalla has it at the line, officially from worst to first at the conclusion of lap number 112. Ray Alfalla, at least for one lap, the new leader here at Homestead.
We'll see if Jake can get that great run off corner number 2 that we've seen off that top line the last couple of laps. And the 41 will pull even with the 2 down the straightaway. The 41 of Sturgis will try to take that momentum off 3 and 4, but look at the run. Alfalla gets in the middle of the corner, trying to slide up here at a corner number 4. Sturgis will still be hanging just barely on the right rear quarter, but Ray Alfalla will lead lap 113. It looks like Sturgis just a wee bit stronger on the outside line in this portion of the racetrack. The 2, though, what a run that Ray Alfalla got in the middle of the corner, and he'll clear the 41 down the back straightaway. 41 will take the little peek to the inside, crossover car number 2, and they'll go at it once again. We'll see if the 41 can do the same move that the 2 just did.
I keep looking back at the intro, Tim. We promised racing like we've never seen a Homestead. This is the delivery of that product. Alfalla continues to hold the point, but it is not without a fight from Jake Sturgis into number 41. And Tim, I think the fact that Alfalla, watch out, hello, Alfalla was able to do that on the bottom, even though it took him 2 or 3 laps, is a testament to just how strong his race car is. Very few drivers have been able to complete passes in the fashion that Alfalla did all race long, especially as this track is rubbered up. But I think Alfalla might have one of the more dominant cars. It seems to me that team worked on 2 things, getting the car to rotate in the center and then have decent forward drive off. They're not killing forward drive, but I think they did that to not sacrifice the center and be able to rely on Ray Alfalla and his experience, his driving skill, and his right foot to give him that extra advantage he needed off the corner. Whatever the setup strategy was, it's working right now.
47 to the inside of the 33 of Brian Blackford. Chris Overland and Blackford have been battling all season long in the standings, and they're going to come down to battle for this position at the Homestead-Miami Speeedway. 116 completed here. Overland had the move going down into corner number 3, could not complete it on Brian Blackford, and now Blackford holding on to that spot, the 47 continuing to work on the inside. And one driver, Tony, that might have been lost a little bit in this as they continue to go side by side. Corey Vincent behind them was up in 4th place for a long while, and now Vincent is 3.4 seconds back in position number 6. So Vincent falling back here in the middle to late stages of this run. And he's got Blackford and Overland now in front of him battling for the spot. It looks like Blackford stepped up his game here in this last lap. He's now got a car link to the 47.
And that's nothing surprising, Tim, because we've seen Blackford really excel as we get later and later into the runs here tonight. Overland fades slightly as we get later and later into the run. We're slowly closing in. What we anticipate will be the last stop of the night. Once they get to about lap 125 or so, they should be able to go the rest of the way. So pit stops should be forthcoming. And Tim, remember, we have not seen green flag pit stops tonight. Teams have to use, or drivers have to use, the access road into turn 3 and around turns 1 and 2 to get into and off of pit road. It's flat, it's cold, it's not rubbered up, it's a completely different feeling, and they've, with a few exceptions, not had to do it all race long. That could really spell doom, or it could spell a payday for somebody who can negotiate those access roads better than anyone else.
Yeah, it's going to be very key on and off of pit road to not only trying to secure yourself a win here, secure yourself a top 5 finish, but also for those guys battling in the point standings, those marks become magnified when you come on and off of pit road. Ray Alfala leads. He's pulled away by about 8/10 of a second over Jake Sturgis. PJ Sturgis in 3rd. Blackford continues to battle with Chris Overland. They have Brandon Bowie just ahead of them in car number 54. Bowie is not on the lead lap, and Bowie is scored as 3 laps down right now in position number 35. We still have 30 drivers on the lead lap all the way back to Byron Daly in car number 93 as we work lap number 121 of 167 in the season finale at the Homestead-Miami Speedway.
And Tim, when you look back at this season, I think this season, with 46 laps or so to go, has been really, despite the fact that Kenny Humphrey has dominated this year, I think really when you look back, we've seen some of the best racing we have seen in the history of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series all season long. Whether it's races for wins, for second, for championships, whatever, there have been fantastic battles on track every single week. I don't think you can point to a single race as a stunk-up race, so to speak, or a show that was quote-unquote boring. They've all been fantastic. As Brandon Schmidt is on pit road, there you see him down for service, so it looks like he feels he can make a caution is out. Looks like we will not see green flag pit stops this time, and Brad Davies has gone for the spin cycle over in turn number 1. That puts us under caution here on lap number 122 as his Chevrolet is shortened up substantially after contact here in turn 1.
Yeah, tough break for Brad Davies, and Davies coming down the front straightaway. It started off at corner number 4. You can see that thing just step out from him barely. He gets into the wall, and he fights it all the way down the straightaway into the wall, and then back up into the wall. The 6 car and the 91, I believe, get a piece as the 11 is going around. That's a really tough break for Brad Davies, and we talk about drivers who have had dismal seasons to this point, Tony. You look at Brad Davies, one of those series veterans that is probably going to fall out of this series. You're going to have to make your way through the Pro Series again if you want to get back in for 2016. We could go on and on about guys that have had tough seasons, but speaking about tough seasons, this could be the money stop here. 123, and everybody's coming down into pit road.
Everybody down for service. They should, operative word being should, be able to make it from here on fuel. Tires, well, that's up to the guy in the seat, and the guy with the wheel and the pedals in front of him. We'll see who can manage their tires the best and still have something left at the end of this run. Alfala comes in for service. Crew will jump over the wall. Right side going to go up in the air on the Wendell Scott Foundation Ford. 5 off and 5 on his Fusion. They'll drop the jack, run around to the left side. Same for Jake and PJ Sturgis, Brian Blackford, all 4 tires on this end of pit road. And everybody makes the mad rush for the end of pit lane. Alfala will win the race off, followed by Jake Sturgis and PJ Sturgis. Blackford appears to come off 4th, followed by Brad Mahar. Where did he come from? Corey Vincent, Matt Busa, Michael J. Johnson, Chris Overland, the big loser. He's next, followed by Brian Day, Evonen, Ackley, and others.
So as they come off of pit road, I believe we'll take this opportunity right now to take the pit stop of our own. We work lap number 124 on the racetrack, and Ray Alfala continues to be up in front, the Wendell Scott Foundation Ford. Homestead-Miami Speeedway season finale for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Going to come down to less than 50 laps to go after this.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. Got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this.
I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Welcome back to the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We will complete lap 126 as we come by the stripe. 41 laps to go. Ray Alfala leads Jake Sturgis, PJ Sturgis, Brian Blackford, and Brad Mahar. Your top five. Your top four from the LRM Slip Angle Motorsports satellite teams as they've been dominant so far this evening. Alfala from the back to the front, and for the first time this evening, he will lead the field back to green, and there he goes. Green flag flies. 57 car gets a great launch to the inside line as well. And look at Corey Vincent. Great restart. He's up to fifth.
Vincent got shot out of a can. I don't know if he was so much shot out of a cannon as much as it was when Brad Mahar fell back. And look behind him, Michael J. Johnson racing to try to stay in the top 20 to keep his eligibility without having to be forced to run the Pro Series next season. He's up to sixth. Talk about coming in the clutch. That's Michael J. Johnson in that black and blue number 39. Meanwhile, Corey Vincent all over the 33 of Brian Blackford. It's a battle for position number 4 as they race off the turns 1 and 2. And Tim, something we noticed in the commercial break, next time around when they come through turns 1 and 2, we're going to hop on board one of these cars, probably Ray Alfala, because he's got the least amount of traffic in front of him. But when you go through turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4, you can see most everybody has kind of been entering the corner on the bottom, sliding up the racetrack. The groove, pretty much, it's not one groove, but you can pretty much see where everybody's been running. Turns 1 and 2, on the other hand, look at this. There's a huge wide patch of rubber on the bottom, and then there's a little bit narrower patch of rubber up top, and you've got two options. If you want to find grip as this track rubber's up, go above that patch, or go below that patch at about the middle of the racetrack. And we might see that here in this final run, Tim. Nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but we haven't seen anybody have to try to negotiate that the way that we have earlier. We've had a racetrack that's been fairly green up top until the last 50 or 60 laps. Now, if your crew chief and your team is ahead of the game, they're going to have to set you up and tell you where to run. Right about where Jake Sturgis is right now, and that's where you got to run on Ray Alfala, side by side for the lead. Now down the back straightaway.
Down the back straightaway, the 41 going to work the inside of the 2 of Ray Alfala, going into corner number 3. The 41 will have the advantage. The 2 hanging on the right rear quarter, trying to get that run out of corner number 4 and down the front straightaway on that outside line, and Alfala will pick up the lead once again to complete 130 laps. Alfala leads. Sturgis working that inside line, continuing to go toe-to-toe for the top spot. It's closing in. PJ Sturgis and Corey Vincent is within striking distance as well as they go down the back straightaway. Alfala gets the advantage down the straightaway. Sturgis will try to pull even here on the inside of 3 and 4.
He's trying, Tim, but Alfala is able to keep that momentum wound up and keep it underneath that Wendell Scott Foundation Ford, and he's making Sturgis use the tires up on his number 41 the more he continues to force it to the bottom of the racetrack. So you can say that. Look at Sturgis right up in the Harry Gant groove, right against the outside safer barrier. Loses ground on entry to Alfala, but look at this. He'll close right up on the back of his Ford into turn number 3. Sturgis wants to go to victory lane, and so does Corey Vincent. Vincent now looks for third on PJ Sturgis in third in 3 and 4.
Yeah, as this battle's been going on for the lead, Corey Vincent's been hungry, taking a peek to the inside of the 57 of PJ Sturgis. That last time by, nothing doing there. They get back to single file racing, and we'll see if that number 10 of Corey Vincent can continue to keep up the pace he has. We saw him that long run the last time prior to that caution flag flying. He fell back a little bit. Currently in position number 4. Keep a half eye on that 10 as we continue to work towards the end of this race. The 41 got a great run at a 2 that last time by, but Ray Alfala going to keep his momentum through 3 and 4, and he will lead at lap number 133 of 167.
The question now, though, Tim, is how much do you use up? Do you use it up to get up front and maybe hope for a yellow? Do you try to get track position and fend off your rivals? Or do you simply try to sit here and stroke it, so to speak, and try to just use enough, like possibly Ray Alfala is doing, to keep Sturgis, and Vincent behind him? We'll never know how much they're actually using. There's only one person that knows that, and those gentlemen are behind the seats, or behind the wheels, I should say, and in the seats of those virtual race cars. Nonetheless, top 4 are breaking away from the rest of the field. Brian Blackford and Chris Overland are back in 5th and 6th trying to give chase, and again, that battle has yet to go to sleep, because guess what? They've been all over each other for the last half of this race.
Indeed they have. It's single file for the time being. Corey Vincent has to pull back in behind PJ Sturgis. Had that run through 3 and 4 the last time, and he's going to try to set it up one more time here to the inside. The 57 going to get that run, though, off of corner number 4, and it's going to maintain position number 3 for PJ Sturgis. Jake Sturgis, meanwhile, continues to hound the 2 of Ray Alfala. You look back from PJ to Corey Vincent, then you can see Brian Blackford back there, Chris Overland, and back is Michael J. Johnson and Brad Mahar, and there's another battle that is not going to cease. They've been through a little bit of traffic, Tony. They battled with some other competitors, but right now it's mano a mano. Michael J. Johnson, Brad Mahar, 7th and 8th.
It's amazing to me, Tim, how these battles can work their way to a race like this, and no matter whether you're running 25th or 26th, trying to outrun the guy behind you, or 1st and 2nd, trying to outrun the guy behind you, these point battles, everybody seems to always step it up, and they end up racing one guy they need to beat for whatever spot it is. It's really amazing how it all works out. You see the top 3, 1 and 2. Starting to catch him now is Blackford and Overland. Quickly, we're going to have ourselves a 6-car breakaway at the front of this field. Again, fantastic racing from first to last, all race long, no matter how all of this turns out.
And only 30 laps remaining in this season as Jake Sturgis gets a great run through 1 and 2. Is it enough to take a run at Ray Alfala down the back straightaway? Nothing yet from the number 41, but had a very solid run through 1 and 2 that last time by. You ride on board with the 41, the Last Row Motorsports NX number 41 of Jake Sturgis on the back bumper of the 2 of Ray Alfala, about 3 car lengths back to his brother PJ. Corey Vincent is in 4th, and then 5th continues to be Brian Blackford as he battles with Overland, but nevertheless the 41 car trying to make a move, make something happen here on the 2 of Ray Alfala in the late stages of this one. Tony, for the most part, the top 10 is single file. Then you look back to about 11th or so where Cody Bias and Timo Ivonen and them are running, and then you start seeing the Hornet's Nest.
Yeah. That is a hornet's nest, no doubt. And again, give a call to your opponent. We talked about him earlier. Splendid run for the number 99. Certainly one that he will take and put on his shoulder through this offseason. And look who else is in the middle of that. Justin Bolton, pitted earlier on a previous, or right before the caution came out, got trapped a lap down, had to get the wave around. Oh, hello, Brian Day. Speaking of cautions, he'll slide down through the grass, back up onto the racetrack, and somehow we will stay green. Oh, what a tough break and a bad stroke of luck for Brian Day.
And, you know, he was battling with Cody Bias in that number 27, and that got a little bit tight for that battle, and now Cody Bias sits in position number 10 all by his lonesome. Everybody else behind got a little scare from that number 4, Brian Day, as Day will have to recuperate now, and we'll hope for a caution late in this one. And behind them, Justin Bolton picks up a spot on the 09 of David Rattler to move him up one more spot. That'll be 12th spot for the number 36 of Bolton. As you mentioned before, he and Bias had that caution flag catch them at the wrong time, and Bias now up in the top 10. Bolton trying to do the same, move up a little bit closer.
And Brian Day, speaking of good runs, was up in 10th when that happened, Tim. One of his better runs of the season for the Gale Force Racing team. They've really started to turn things around, led by Nick Ottinger, who picked up a couple of wins in the second half of the year. In fact, back-to-back wins at Watkins Glen and Indianapolis. But just haven't had the luck the last couple of races. I know they are certainly looking forward to 2016. As you look further back at Overland and Blackford, that's the battle for 5th and 6th. At the moment, Blackford has it. Overland wants it, but they're all trying to get around Corey Vincent, who rides 4th.
And Vincent is falling back a little bit here. Short run car by the looks of it compared to what we've seen before out of that number 10 team, and trying to hold on right now to position number 4 as we come down to the late laps. Just over 20 laps to go in this race, and the 33 and 47 continue to be side by side. The double clutch Menards, 47 on the inside of the 33 of Blackford as they come across the stripe. Blackford will lead by about 3/4 of a car length.
That 3/4 of the car length is gone as Overland gets the big corner. But look at this. Watch Blackford. Takes that momentum on the outside of the racetrack. He'll motor past Chris Overland and nearly clear him back at the turn number 3. Fantastic. We've said it 100 times. Fantastic racing around the Speedway here at Homestead. I'm kind of bummed, Tim, that this race is closing in on its completion. Only 3 laps to go in this one. It's just getting down to where it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's getting down to be really good. They have some close battles here throughout the field. We mentioned 4th, 5th, and 6th, and I say 4th because Corey Vincent now is under fire from Brian Blackford. Blackford tries to take that peak underneath in car number 33, the 47 of Overland. I think he senses that the 33 might be trying to make a move and trying to follow him through as it does happen, as the 33 of Blackford continues to stalk the 10. We had to change for position back behind them just a few moments ago as Brad Mahar and Michael J. Johnson continue to go at it. Brad Mahar picked up a spot, and if they continue to battle in front of them and Brad Mahar can step his game up a little bit, he might be up here as they go side by side now with the 33 and the 10.
If Blackford can get that spot, that pretty much locks him, at least for the moment, into 4th in the final standings. And, you know, we talked about this a couple of races ago, Tim, but what a comeback story for Brian Blackford. A year ago at this time, wasn't sure what life had in store for him. He had injuries from a go-karting accident, burns, and reconstructive surgery in his elbow, and all kinds of hurdles facing him. But he stepped up to the challenge. He really, really made an effort to make things as good as he could for the situation. And even if he ends up in 5th, it's still a fantastic story for Brian Blackford, as here comes Chris Overland down to the inside. So give a call to Brian Blackford. Where 1 year ago, Tim, I remember we were calling this race, and Blackford was just simply happy to be in the field running back in about the 35th spot. Today, a year removed from the accident and then some, he's got a shot at a top 5 in points and really a shot at top 5 in this race as he continues to battle his points rival, Chris Overland.
And you look at the 33 of Brian Blackford. Blackford, a couple of years ago, really finished the season off solid in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series and darn near won the race at the Homestead-Miami Speeedway to close off the year. And now he's looking at least a top 5 run. But that car the last couple of laps, Tony, compared to the 10 and the 47, has looked downright scary. He had a moment almost with the 10 a couple laps ago, and now he's on the outside of the 47 of Chris Overland. He's getting up close and personal with that wall. on a couple of these laps as he runs the outside, and almost saw it 3 wide on the 10 as he almost went in the middle of the 10 to 47. Now goes to the inside. What a slick move by Blackford to go to the inside here.
Well, it's getting down to crunch time, Tim. You either go or go home, and Blackford knows what's on the table. He's trying to claim that spot. There's no more scheduled pit stops left. You've got to make the 4 wheels underneath of you work better than the other guy's 4 wheels underneath of him. Blackford has the spot by mere inches at the stripe. They work back to turn number 1. Great battle for 5th spot. Remember, this could end up playing out as to who finishes ahead of who in the 4th and 5th place slots in the standings.
Yeah, this is going to be big, and Corey Vincent wants a piece of the top 5 before this is all said and done as well. He doesn't want to let those 2 in front of him pass and give up a top 5 position here at the Homestead-Miami Speeedway in the final race of the season. This time by 17 laps to go. Overland is all over the back bumper of the 10 of Corey Vincent as he drives it down into corner number 1 this time by. Looks like the 10 drives a little bit deeper than the 2 behind him. The 33 is getting a great run in the middle of 1 and 2 and catches up to the 47 and the 10 once again as they will go nose to tail down the back straightaway.
And Tim, as they continue to circulate through turns 1 and 2, you can see those 2 distinct lines of rubber. That top one getting a little darker and a little darker, and Blackford trying to run between them to get a little bit of grip. It's kind of working for him, but not maybe the way he expected. Whereas Overland and Vincent, they're kind of running up there in the middle of that rubber groove, that rubber line, if you will. Now Overland moves down, trying to cut across the center of the corner. So this dynamic track surface really playing into the outcome of this one, because drivers cannot just be stagnant and run where they've run the last 150 some laps. They've got to search around. They've got to make their car work. Love it. This is the absolute best thing iRacing has developed in the last, well, since its existence. It really has turned the racing on its head. And while it was great before, Tim, this has really added that extra element of realism and has made it freaking spectacular.
And keep a half eye on that battle up in front as well. We've been covering this battle for position number 4 between the 10, the 47, and the 33. But keep a half eye on Jake Sturgis and Ray Alfala up there. Sturgis keeping Ray Alfala honest within 2 car lengths of the number 2 as we work forward in the late laps of this race. 1:53 being completed this time by, and the 47 and 10 continue to be side by side with the 33 tucked up tight. Fantastic racing for position number 4 to close off this 2015 season. Overland gets that run through 1 and 2, and the double clutch Menards 47 will clear the 10. He'll go up high and open that door for the 33 of Brian Blackford, and now Blackford takes the peak to the inside. He's got that momentum down to the 3.
I thought Corey Vincent was about ready to clobber the back bumper of Chris Overland, and he may have even made contact with him. Either way, Brian Blackford snookered them all, got the run off the high side. He now is going to claim 4th spot, but Overland, no crossover maneuver. I love this, Tim. This is just great. Can we please start 2016 tomorrow?
Yeah, it's been fantastic racing here this evening, and we've still got just over 10 laps to decide this thing. Top 2 nose to tail, and Brian Blackford and Chris Overland continue to cross each other over and make moves that are within virtual inches of each other, and they continue to work around this racetrack with the 4th and 5th place position. And Corey Vincent, you saw that slide job from the 47. He lost that position to the 33 as well. If Vincent has anything left to get back to the number 47, I'm sure he's going to make a race out of this.
Really? You didn't think he wouldn't, Tim, by any means?
We talked about earlier that has a short run car, that number 10 of Corey Vincent. Does he have anything left in the tank? That's the question.
Whoa, hello, watch out. That was Kevin King, I think, in the grass, the back straightaway. One car had an issue, and yes, that was Kevin King. He kept it straight. We'll stay under green, but Kevin King, major issues off turn number 2, and he will lose a ton of spots. While up front, here goes Sturgis underneath the Ray Alfala. The battle for the race lead, and ultimately the win off turn number 2. Alfala says no. Sturgis forced to fall back in line. I think Jake Sturgis realizes the time is now. He's got to go and make something happen.
You got to remember, the 2 car of Ray Alfala has absolutely nothing to lose. Jake Sturgis fighting for 9th in points. That's where he sits right now. He's got some positions ahead of him that he can gain if he takes a couple of extra points here from Ray Alfala and takes away the victory. You better believe that Jake Sturgis is going to push hard here, and Ray Alfala might even push a little bit harder. Down the back straightaway with 9.5 laps to go. Jake Sturgis made that move. Does he have anything left to get up to the 2 of Ray Alfala, or does Ray Alfala step his game up in these final 9 laps?
I think Ray might have been holding a little bit back before it's all said and done, Tim, just in case this happened. That time by, Ray was a 32.8. Jake was a 32.9. About a half a tenth or so separated them. It was a full tenth a lap before. I think Ray Alfala realized, being the veteran that he is, I don't want to run away from Jake in case something happens. I want to save a little bit in the tank, and maybe, just maybe, we're seeing that manifest itself now while Jake Sturgis continues to pine after that number 2 car, and it just is not working.
Michael J. Johnson sits in position number 9 right now, and he's going to need a little bit of help in the late laps in order to take away a top 20 spot in the standings, racing with Nathan Wise. And Wise has been, since almost the onset of this race, he's had damage on his race car. He's 59 laps down in 37th place and on the racetrack and trying to keep a top 20 position. Up in front, Ray Alfala will come by this time and have 7 laps to go, and he's got about 3 car lengths on Jake Sturgis. You mentioned maybe Ray saving something, having a little bit more in the bag. I think he's starting to show it here now.
That he is, Tim. He had to wait till Jake made his move, and once Jake began to use his stuff up, then Ray really knew how much he had left. I think it's an excellent move, very veteran move when it comes to the chess game that is racing at Homestead, and I think Ray is doing just the same thing. Okay, I got it far enough ahead of him. Let me just stay right here in case he has a little bit more that he hasn't shown me. But I think Ray Alfala is out to prove a point here tonight. Worst to first, and then domination ever since he got to the point.
And it's about 4/10 of a second now. That last lap by, he picked up another car length or so on that gap. PJ Sturgis back in position number 3, and he can't really rest either because he's only got about 3 or 4 car lengths on Blackford, and it looks like Overland, he's going to need to step it up soon here because he might very well lose that spot to Brian Blackford, who he's been battling with all race long. Vincent Mahar, they have their battles, and look at Tyler Hudson right on the back bumper of Matt Busa. That's for 8th place. They're side by side off 4.
Where did Tyler Hudson come from? Great run for Hudson, former series champion. He nearly picked up a win here a couple of years ago in his championship season, where he clinched the title here at Homestead by just a few markers over Ray Alfala in a fuel mileage thriller. And he now is in the top 10, is Tyler Hudson. But Tim, look up at that battle for 3rd through 5th. PJ Sturgis holds the key, possibly, to Brian Blackford capturing that 4th spot in points. And while Blackford is closing in on the number 40 or on the number 57, he's running out of laps. If Blackford gets around him, it's all his, no question. But you know that Sturgis wants to finish 3rd spot, and of course, keep in mind as well, Blackford is not really a teammate. He's part of that alliance between Lasseter Motorsports as well as Slip Angle.
As you watch that battle, I continue to watch the battle between the 34 and the 01. I know it's coming down to the checkered flag, but that 01 nearly bought the farm a couple laps ago off corner number 2, got sideways almost in the grass on the back straightaway. The 34 on the outside, the 01 on the inside, and it looks like the 01 might pick up that spot. You're right on the roof of Brian Blackford. As you look at the 57 car now on the outside, what a run the 33 has got in these last couple laps. They are side by side for position number 3 down the back straightaway. Huge point implications for the 33 if he can get up and pass his 57 car.
He's going to try the slide job. He might be able to clear him off turn number 4. Brian Blackford, no surprise, that car has really come on strong late in the runs here this evening. And this is exactly where we're at. Late in the runs, late in the race, and very, very late in the 2016 season. Blackford trying for that extra point money up for grabs. If he can get by PJ Sturgis. All the while, Kenny Humpy's got a championship in the bag as he sits on pit road. And Ray Alfala will work his way off turn number 4. White flag in the air for Florida's own, and then Wendell Scott Foundation Ford. 1 lap between him and victory number 4 this season.
That battle for third continues to heat up as they take the white flag. The 57 to PJ Sturgis. Little bit sideways these last couple laps. You can see him fight the rear end of that race car. There goes the 33 to the inside. Brian Blackford is going to have a shot at position number 3, coming down the back straightaway for the final time. Meanwhile, up in front, car number 2 of Ray Alfalo will round corners number 3 and 4. And if he can keep this thing straight at a corner number 4 and drive it down the front straightaway, he'll win his 4th race of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series for 2015. Checkered flag on Ray Alfalo. Sturgis in 2nd, and 3rd is going to belong to PJ Sturgis. Blackford in 4th, and Chris Overland in position number 5. And that battle back there for 8th that we covered late in the race, it was Tyler Hudson finally taking that spot over Matt Busa. Ray Alfalo will come home with the 4th win of his season. Fantastic season for him, but it is Kenny Humpy taking home the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series title. And Kenny Humpy, not the way he wanted to end it, and it doesn't look like, I don't see him on the racetrack. I think he's already pulled it back into the virtual hauler. So Humpy will be celebrating here in just a few moments' time, I'm sure, down on the virtual pit road. Alfalo lights it up here, and he celebrates his 4th win of the year.
Probably the most convincing win of the season for anybody, of course, Ray Alfalo included. And I think, though he finishes 2nd in 2015, this race, this event, remember this, Tim, next year when Ray Alfalo makes another championship tear and another campaign for the trophy, remember this race, because this one defined him as a true champion. All the adversity he had to go through, everything he overcame to come from worst to first and dominate the second half of this race. This is one to put on the mantle and really look back on for Ray Alfalo, and I have a feeling this one will be a rallying cry when we get to Daytona next February.
He started the season off with a win at Daytona. He finishes off the season with a win at Homestead. And if you're keeping score, the Slip Angle Motorsports and Last Row Motorsports Technical Alliance swept the top 5 here this evening. Alfalo, the Sturgis brothers, Blackford, and Overland. We're going to step away for just a few moments' time. We will bring you back to the post-race show where we'll talk to your top 5 finishers, and we'll try to grab a couple of words with your champion, Kenny Humpy. Don't go away.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. You got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this.
I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Well, welcome back to Homestead-Miami Speedway and the conclusion of the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Obviously, we're going to talk the top 5. We've got a really neat presentation and a neat moment or two with Kenny Humphrey coming up here after the top 5 interviews, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss any of it. Some extra little nuggets the guys at PSR TV have worked on here in the last couple of weeks to make Kenny Humphrey's championship as special as some would argue it should be. Nonetheless, the first guy we're going to talk to ends up with victory number 4 in the 2015 season. Between himself and Kenny Humphrey, they combined for over half of the wins this season. And this guy drives car number 2. He's standing by with Kick Care.
And Ray Alfalla had to come from the back of the field. It'll go down on paper as starting in position number 6. But Ray, before we get to the charge to the front, what happened on the grid and on the warm-up lap to put you back there?
I don't want to talk about it. No, just kidding. Earlier this week, I changed the starter button, and I forgot about it. And I turned my car off on the grid to save some gas, and then I went to hit the starter, and it didn't fire. And I thought for some reason, it had reset itself, and I still had forgotten that I had changed it. So I just went ahead and got towed back to pit road, and then started the race lap down in 40 seconds. So I was panicking there for a few laps, but fortunately we got a few yellows.
And talk about that charge towards the front of the field, because you were passing cars at will once you got back on the lead lap.
Yeah. We, as usual, we had no idea how fast our car was. We practiced with our teammates, which we all swept the top 5. First time we've ever done that. We've come close a few times, but so when you're practicing against your teammates, I thought Jake was going to win the race hands down. He was absolutely amazing in practice. And I was kind of struggling a little bit, and finally figured it out in the race, I guess. But yeah, when your teammates are really fast and you all have good cars, it's really difficult to know how fast you really are. But it was a lot of fun. When I was back there a lap down, it was like, man, this is a shame that these positions aren't counting. But we finally got back on the lead lap, and I can't wait to just watch the broadcast and all the crazy stuff that happened. It was a lot of fun. I think running the high side for the first time ever pretty much at this track, it's just a joy to race on.
And with all the grooves changing, you made your way to the front of the field, and then Jake Sturgis at the end of the race gave you a run for your money. Talk about the battle with the number 41 there in the late laps.
Yeah, it was just like practice. We were doing like 41 lap runs in practice, and it was actually a 41 lap run to end the race. And I knew Jake was really fast, and I didn't quite know if he was holding back. And then he went for it with like 10 to go, dove it into the bottom, and I thought he was gonna slide up and clear me, but it didn't quite work out. But before I go, of course, I have to thank the Wendell Scott Foundation and everyone on Slip Angle, Stephanie Lesentine, crew chiefing. She makes last-second adjustments when I'm yelling out for them right before pit road. Brandon Wright spotting. Lisa Pineda, she's just great for the series, great for our team. She does so much for us, and she's just an amazing friend. And everyone on Lastro, we formed this alliance after Daytona, and it's been, I think, one of the better decisions we've ever made. Joey Brown helped a lot with setups. PJ helped a lot with setups, and everybody just chimed in and worked together. It's a really, really awesome group of people to hang around with. And I'm really, really happy that we finally, we swept the top 5. We were up there contending, and also got to say congrats to my teammate Brian Blackford. I think he finished 4th in points, just edged out Chris there, and that's his best effort in the series and the best he's ever run. So we have all the momentum on our side, and already 2016 can't. It's going to be a long off season, because when you're running well, you want to run every week.
And the last 3 years, this is going to be your 3rd consecutive runner-up finish in the series, but you did everything but win the championship this year. 4 wins. Obviously, Kenny Humphrey had a dominant season, but you have to be happy with your season as a whole.
Yeah, very happy. A couple weeks ago, I think they asked me if it was a curse, and I said, well, no, not really, because no matter what, you go out there and you try your best, and if you come home second, you know, you got beat by one person, but you still had a really good season. And so, you know, I'm really proud of the effort, and that's 5 straight seasons now contending for championships, which that's all I can ask for, you know. And you can't do it without a really strong supporting cast, and I'm really happy with my team, Slip Angle Motorsports, and the help we get from Lastro. So, you know, I can't wait for next year.
Unofficially goes down as 13 points. Ray Alfala finishes second on the season, and his 4th win comes this evening at the Homestead-Miami Speeedway. Congratulations to the Wendell Scott Foundation Ford team. I believe Tony has caught up with a driver who has finished 8th place in the point standing. Second here this evening, led a bunch of laps, Jake Sturgis.
Led a bunch of laps, had a shot to win, but Jake 1 spot short. The sad part is if you picked up the win, you'd have vaulted yourself up another spot in points. It was that close for position number 7. But first off, talk about the race itself. That race car looked like it was on rails. Could you have asked for a better piece, or were there things that maybe you wish you changed or you had wished that you did change when you took the green flag?
No, I think we had it pretty much dead on where we wanted it. We didn't really know what the track was going to do. We'd never run a race like that before in our lives. It was really different. Could tell the outside lane was good. The first few laps, I was able to go up there, get a good run down the backstretch, make a few passes early on, and get out to the lead. And I really overdrove it there that first run, so I was glad to see that caution. My right front tire was not doing too good, but setup was really good. I think I over-adjusted on it. I was a little too loose that last run for sure. Looser than I think I've ever been, and didn't really have anything for Ray there. But never been that disappointed with the second place in my entire life. I really wanted that win, but it was good to see Ray get it, and good to see our whole team and setup get the top 5 there, 1st through 5th. Pretty sure it was clear who had the fastest car out there. It was really good. It was really interesting, though, with the dynamic track. So far, I don't think it's worked like that at any of the other tracks before, but the preferred groove there, one groove up from the inside where normally everyone runs, all of a sudden it just sort of died there and lost half a second a lap and had to move up. Where was that? Right at lap 39, lost half a second there through 1 and 2. Then the next lap, I tried it again and went even slower, another half a second. So moved up to the top there, and we basically just stayed there the rest of the race. Seemed better, and then about halfway through the race, the same thing sort of happened over there in 3 and 4. We moved up to the top there for a while, and then the last round, suddenly we're back on the bottom again. So it was real tough to keep up with the track. It was changing all the time, but it was also really cool. It's a new thing here on iRacing. It's really great to see it work like that.
You took the question and the answer right out of my mouth, I guess. I was going to ask you exactly how all that worked in the seat. We documented how the track was changing a few times throughout the course of the race, and it is really cool to see how the racing changed, how it essentially improved from years past. And, man, what a product they certainly have here tonight. What kind of momentum does this give you for 2016, Jake? Obviously, we know you wanted to pick up a W, and this one really stings, but what does this do for you, knowing that Daytona in February, that you guys have a very dominant organization?
Well, setting my sights on the championship for sure. If I can run with Ray like that every week, definitely got a shot at it. I told Ray before this race I'm going to go out there and win it, so he made sure I couldn't do that. But we'll see what happens next year. Car might change a little bit. We might get the low downforce package since NASCAR is going to run that next year, so we'll see how that affects our setup. But past few weeks we've been real dominant and haven't had to change too much on the setups, just fine-tuning it. So we'll see how it goes next year. I just really want to thank the guys over at Lastro Motorsports and Slip Angle Motorsports for all the help they've really put in on the setups this week and every week. Usually I just show up and say, hey guys, what's the fast setup? And I load it up and go and drive around. But this week I put thousands of laps into it, fine-tuned on that setup as much as I could, and I felt like it really paid off and really showed a lot more than I have any other race in this series ever.
That's Jake Sturgis. He finishes a disappointing second here tonight at Homestead. I think Tim Terry's caught up with the guy that ran right behind him.
And that's PJ Sturgis. And PJ, you had to battle with Brian Blackford at the end of the race. Let's talk about the battle with the 33.
Yeah, I knew Brian was going to be fast in the long run. All week in practice he was. So at the end there, I was just hoping could hang on, and luckily I was able to kind of pinch him off and make him burn his stuff up. But man, that was a lot of fun. Congrats to Ray on the win, and Jake for all the work in the setup all week and showing what he's capable of when he actually practices for a race. So that was good, and to the whole alliance for the sweep in the top five. It's been a good week and a great season.
And you had a pretty stout piece yourself, even led some laps here in the middle stages of this one.
Yeah, on that run, I told Jake on TeamSpeak, I was like, how would you just back off and let me lead the lap here so I get the bonus point? So he was nice enough to do that. So he was good on pace all week. I mean, he can wheel it. So that was a lot of fun. And most of all, P3 in the race, P3 in points. This is far beyond my expectations coming into this season. So thanks to everyone that made this possible. Slip Angle, Motorsports, all the guys there and at Lastro and iAnalyze, V Racing, and all the guys back at NX that support me and make this all possible every week. It wouldn't be possible without them.
Before we let you go, let's talk about this season. You mentioned P3 on the year. At this point last year, you were fighting to keep yourself in this series. You finished 19th in the standings and now third. Pressure's off again. You don't have to race through the Pro Series to get in, but you had a little more breathing room this year than you did last year.
Oh yeah, that part was definitely nice, but stress doesn't stop. We got the Endurance Series, the Blank Paint Endurance Series at Road Atlanta this season, so we're trying to get the licenses for that going, so from one race right to the next, so the stress level doesn't go down at all, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. My only goal going into the season was just to have fun with it and try not to be stressed out too much, but those last couple of weeks, seeing Chris and Brian creep up in the standings on me, that was nerve-wracking to say the least, but overall, I had a blast. Thanks to everyone that did it, and it's been a good season.
And Tony Stevens, he held them off not only on the racetrack here this evening, but also in the point standings. PJ Sturgis coming home with a top 3 run this evening and also in the season-long point standings. One of those drivers that he raced late in the year for that third place position in the standings is Brian Blackford. I believe you've caught up with him.
It's funny how the next few guys finished the same in the race as they did in the standings. We mentioned earlier how this race is kind of a microcosm of the championship in itself, and Brian Blackford, you really seem to overcome some stuff early, whether it's a bad qualifying run or simply a miscue in the setup, whatever it was, you really had to drive through the field. How was it easier to pass cars earlier in the race than it was later, or was it simply a matter of you had stronger cars to pass later in the race?
Yeah, it was a little bit easier to get around some of those guys. They, especially once the tires got a little bit of laps on them. So guys at Slip Angle and Lastro, they put together an amazing setup once again, and got a lot of people to thank. This season has been incredible. Lisa Pineda, she's a great leader, and I love my yellow rims tonight. I might keep them for next year. Ray, he's a great teammate, and couldn't do what I do without him. And Stephanie calling the shots on pit road. Brandon Wright, he's my spotter. He's done an amazing job all season. Jake Sturgis did a lot of work on the setup this week, and I can't thank him enough. He's a heck of a guy, and I wish he could have gotten a victory this season. He definitely deserves it, but just gotta give a shout out to Overland and PJ. That man, those guys, we were battling really hard in points, and I honestly can't believe that it came down like that. That's the hardest I've ever driven in a sim race before. I'm just kind of blown away. I hope that was as fun to watch as it was to drive. Shout out to BBR guys, Jake, Delonte, Kyle, Brandon. You guys are awesome. Keep up the great work. JJ, Veronica, Julio, you guys have been awesome supporters and fans throughout the season. And shout out to Trey Davis. He's still undergoing treatment. Obviously, we got a lot of sponsors and supporters. I just want to thank really quick the Wendell Scott Foundation, Shanique and Warwick Scott. They're incredible people, and looking forward to doing great things with them. The Breast Cancer Research Foundation, Ford Performance, St. Petersburg Health and Wellness, Dr. Cole and everybody there, Acupuncture and Herbal Therapies, Dr. Lindy. He's one of my heroes. Phoenix Society for Burn Survivors, Amy and Mara, they're great people. So we might be attending a conference here in the end of the month. So I'm really looking forward to that. The Edible Peace Patch, Stem Simex, and Snow Cone Productions. It's great to have a lot of great partners and that have the same values as we do. Obviously, iRacing, NASCAR, Peak, and all you guys at PSR TV for putting on these great broadcasts. I really have a great time watching them after the race is over, and I'm sure this one's going to be very exciting to watch. And this year we were able to complete every single lap that was run this season. With unfortunately Kenny, he had some trouble tonight, but he was the only guy who had run every other lap. So fortunately, I was able to have a clean race, and we completed all the laps this season. And Overland was second. He completed all but one, so we were having a little.
Why do you have to bring it up?
We were having a great time battling for that prestige. So it's a great season, and I'm so excited. This is great. I can't wait till next season.
That's Brian Blackford. He finishes 4th here tonight, not only in the race, but in the point standings as well. And Tim, I'm staring at you. You've got Chris Overland, who just stole your microphone a second ago.
Well, let's talk to Chris Overland. You had a fantastic season, but man, this looked fun today out at Homestead.
It was a blast. There's nothing more fun than being able to move around lines and being able to actually see who the best driver is amongst a team. And I feel like today we hit on the setup. Slip Angle Motorsports, Last Row Motorsports swept the top 5, which is incredible. But we all drove the same thing, give or take real minor adjustments. So it was all about who was the better driver there at the end. And I drove as absolutely hard as I've ever driven in my life. And I could not catch Blackford. So congrats to him on 4th place. Tried doing everything I could, lead some laps to try to grab 4th there. It's just not enough.
I'm going to tell you what, though, for most of that run, you kept that 33 car honest.
I tried. I know that Blackford's a good competitor, and he's clean. He knows what he's doing. Real nice guy. Have nothing against him. Me and him are great friends off the track as well. But when it comes to on-track competition, me and him go neck and neck, and he's one of the only people I can trust. So I gave it my all, and I'm glad he could handle it. And he ended up victorious, which is a little unfortunate for us, but it doesn't hurt to see a friend grab some cash.
You have to really be happy with your season, though. You move up 1 spot compared to last year. You're going to move up to 5th place in the points. Obviously, the 1 point out of 4th, but 5 top 5 finishes. Average finish of 14th. You really have to be happy with your season as a whole.
I mean, we just keep getting better every year, and that's what I keep trying to do. And with this new dynamic track surface, we knocked out 3 top 5s in a row and had a shot to win basically every race the past 3 weeks. So I'm really looking forward to next season. Slip Angle Motorsports and Last Row Motorsports, hopefully we'll be able to work out something where we can work together next year as well, because the second half of the season I feel like we've been unstoppable. And congrats to Kenny, all due respect to him, he still won the championship, but second half of the season, Ray with 4 top 2s, it just goes to show how much effort and how strong we were at the end of the year.
Now, the end of the year ends strong. Are we going to come back and win a championship here in 16?
If every race is like that, it's going to be real hard, but we're going to go for it. There have been a couple races this year where we could have got some way better finishes than we ended up getting. Richmond, Indianapolis, for example. So hopefully we just are able to, I say this every year, but minimize mistakes and just capitalize on other people's misfortune, and I'm not ruling it out. Just want to thank all the guys in the double clutch Menards Chevrolet here, all the guys at Last Row Motorsports, Joey Brown, just everybody who helps. I know I'm forgetting some people, but blame it on my head, not my heart.
And that's Chris Overland coming home in position number 5 here this evening and 5th place in the point standings. I believe Tony Stevens has caught up with our 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion and a car that looks less than stellar after tonight at Homestead, Kenny Humpy.
Well, we wondered aloud many times throughout the season, when would Kenny Humpy have bad luck? When would the misfortune come that would set him back in the points and bring him back down to earth? Well, the answer has been the last couple of weeks. The problem is it was already determined at that juncture, so Kenny Humpy, the bad luck played out when it needed to. First off, tell us about what happened off of turn number 2 that put you out tonight.
Yeah, I have to apologize really a lot to Taylor Hurst there for getting into him, because he seemed to have a really good car there, and he had a run off me off on turn 2 on the top there. And as I was coming out of 2, there's some pretty big bumps coming out of 2. If you hit them just right, it kind of sends your car straight. And I just kind of got into those bumps. I looked back at the replay there. I wasn't even kind of on the gas all the way. I was just kind of rolling into it still. And unfortunately, I caught that bump, and it just went straight into him. And I have to apologize to him for that, because he looked like he had, once again, a pretty good car.
Unfortunately, it shot you to the inside wall, destroyed your chances of a good run tonight. But as we said, it didn't matter. Points had already taken care of themselves. The last few races, it's kind of been in your head, I'm sure. And now it's done. It's over. You don't have to worry about anything until February. You get all the pomp and circumstance. You get a huge check. You get a trip to Miami. You get to be recognized as a NASCAR champion in Charlotte with the rest of the NASCAR Touring Champions. What does this mean for Kenny Humpy, a guy who's been sim racing for the last few years? And where does this rank in your life accomplishments?
It definitely ranks up there. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment to win this series. I mean, you got the best sim races in here. Like Ray, congratulations to him. He won tonight, and their team has been on a roll here these past few weeks. But luckily, we had that gap that we had there early in the season. But no, I mean, it's a big accomplishment, and you know, I'm proud to be a champion of the series, and I can't thank everybody at Peak and iRacing enough for just, you know, putting this series on and you know, giving it the exposure that they do and everything like that. So it's definitely a huge accomplishment, and I can't thank all the guys on the team. They're the ones who, you know, made this happen with all their hard work with the setups. I know we've been a little bit off here in the past few weeks, but they'll get it figured out, and we'll get it straightened out as a team together. And you know, everybody just came together here throughout this year, and I was the lucky one enough to have all the luck go my way and to be winning races and to be doing all that stuff. But it could have been either one of us, you know. If luck would have just fallen one other way throughout that entire year, it could have been Bolton or, you know, Cody Bias or Kevin King, you know, winning the championship. So I was lucky enough to have all the luck on my way, and I can't be more proud, like I said, to win this championship and to be going down there to Homestead.
A year ago this time, your fellow Team Peak driver, Michael Conti, took his winnings and began to invest it a little bit in some real racing to try to jumpstart his career there. Any plans for Kenny Humpy? Or you go racing, you go pay off student loans, you go on vacation, go to Disney World? What's Kenny Humpy doing now?
You know, if the real racing opportunity ever did arise, I'd definitely take that chance. But as of right now, you know, it just all depends on circumstances. You know, if that opportunity does arise and you know, I get a chance to do something, maybe that is something that I could kind of venture out into. But you know, right now I don't really have any plans. Like you said, just pay off some student loans. It's definitely going to help with that. And you know, just moving forward, just I don't know, you know, just to kind of be happy and take the winnings, I guess.
Well, you got a long time to think about it. You're going to have a fun trip to Homestead. You're going to have a great time. They've got a lot planned for you, I promise, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you sometime before it's all said and done when you get up here to the banquet for Charlotte. So enjoy it. It's going to be a heck of a ride. Congratulations, Kenny Humpy. You're going to make a fine representative of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series for the next year.
Thank you guys and everybody here at PSR TV that puts these broadcasts on, and all the affiliates that broadcast it out there. So, you know, everybody at Peak and everybody at MRN and all those other affiliates that you guys have, I can't appreciate it enough, and hopefully I can be that representative for this championship that they're looking for.
I'm sure you'll do fine. That's Kenny Humpy, the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion. And don't leave us just yet. Kenny, we got a nice video presentation for you and everybody else watching at home as well. And Tim Terry, this season, this race, your final thoughts before we sign off for the final time for the Peak Antifreeze Series season this year.
Fantastic way to close off the season. Exciting racing, top to bottom. Ray Alfala has his issue on the grid, and then comes from the rear of the field to win this race, and Jake Sturgis put up a fight at the end of it, and everybody throughout the field had a dancing partner throughout this thing. Tough break for Kenny Humpy, and the race but comes home once again with the championship. Congratulations to the whole team for the championship season that they had, and even throughout the standings, you had Justin Bolton running well, you had Kevin King running well. The list goes on and on of those guys that continually put up great runs each and every week. Ray Alfala, third consecutive runner-up finish in this series after winning the 2 championships. Ray's going to be tough again next year. Kenny's going to be tough. That whole top 20, whoever comes from that Pro Series is going to have to be on their game and be on their game every single week if they want to contend for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series Championship in 2016. It's been a pleasure to call it again in 2015, and I can't wait till Daytona.
Tim, I have to agree with you. It's going to be stout. It seems every year the competition level just gets a little bit higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher. This season, no exception. You literally had to beat Kenny Humpy every week, and a guy who's won 5 races and had 11 top 5s, that's a pretty tall order to be in front of him every single week to try to make up any points. He just obliterated the competition this season. The last few races, yeah, they're a blip on the radar, but it really didn't matter. He was that good that early that he had a chance to kind of throw away the last couple of races, even though the last 4 races you couldn't drop. It didn't matter. His lead was that big. But as you said, you look on the inside and the outside of who's going to be in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series guaranteed next year. Patrick Crabtree, in. Nathan Wise, in. They were on the bubble. Brad Mahar was in the bubble. He's in. So's Casey Tucker and Taylor Hurst. On the outside looking in, they have to run through the Pro Series. Michael J. Johnson just 7 points short. Cody Bias, another handful of points out. Then Chad Lawton and Danny Hance, Andy Fayash III. 5 of the drivers are going to have to come through the Pro Series. Byron Daly, another one that's going to have to do it. So many drivers are going to have to fend for their virtual racing lives in this offseason, and it's going to be fun to see who comes out of it all as victorious, or at least in a spot to run the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season. It's been great to be part of it all season long. And don't forget, we'll still have updates and things on Fans Choice TV throughout the next coming days, and you never know what else might pop up there if Kenny Humpy comes to town, or who knows where we'll go with cameras and people. There's a lot of fun still to come, and of course a championship celebration for Kenny Humpy is yet to come as well. It's been a great season. It's been a long season. It's been a fun season. Once again, we're privileged to bring it all to you. Tim Terry, Joe Cortez for most of the season, the entire PSR TV staff, and all the people we work with. My name's Tony Stevens. Say congratulations to Kenny Humpy. And for Kenny, we have prepared this little piece. We want to say so long to the next NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season. Stay tuned. There's still a lot more racing to come on PSR TV in the offseason. The iRacing Pro Race of Champions and many other special events. We're not going anywhere, but until Daytona, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series is over. Kenny Humpy is the champion.
As he works through corners number 3 and 4, the Peak Antifreeze, the team at number 58. And unofficially, he will come across the line as the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion. Kenny Humpy will win his first title.
This is what it's all about, Tim. Simply put, now look at Ottinger and Humpy. Ottinger running defensively, Humpy following every bit in his tire tracks.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage, but Ottinger's not going to.
Oh, he got into him!
Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
Kenny Humpy will go to victory lane.
Kenny Humpy now looks for the lead. on Nick Ott. Just your working lap, number 61, closing in on the halfway point.
At a corner number 4, checkered flag in the wind, and for 2 weeks in a row, it's going to go to Kenny Humpy in car number 58. Pace car off, and Humpy's gone. Green flag flies. What a flying start for that number 58.
Kenny Humpy has a 3-second advantage over the rest of the field. We've only completed 42 laps, and that 58 car is hauling the nail.
Kenny Humpy, you can't argue with the setup he's got under his car. Last time around, he picked up an extra 1/10 of a second over Ray Alfalla.
And that means Kenny Humpy will have won his 3rd NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race of this short season. Kenny Humpy takes the lead. That tells me that car is just what we have seen in the past. Very fast early, but extremely fast late. Super balanced, and a long run race car. Kenny Humpy, dominant here at Dover is an understatement. 30 laps to go. The pace car is off. Kenny Humpy again on the loud pedal.
Well, it is the 58 car of Kenny Humpy who will round 3 and 4, come up to the checkered flag, and he'll win his 4th race. And your point leader going to extend that point lead in a huge way. Checkered flag at Michigan, and round number 9 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series goes to Kenny Humpy. Corey Vincent on the hammer, green flag.